Da, 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 da. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Da-da. Hello, everyone. Um, all right, let me just set up some tech stuff. Da, 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 dun, 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 ba, ba, bum, bum. All right. Samantha Dragonati. Go ahead and pause this beautiful music. Let me pull up some of these videos I have planned for us today, and then we'll just jump in and get started. How are we doing? How's everyone feeling today? My stream got taken down yesterday. Super bummer. It happens. I ended up sharing the Bernie Sanders video, but even though it was on his channel, Coachella is the one that copyrighted it. I asked for an appeal to see if they would like reinstate the video, but there's just no guarantee. So kind of a bummer, but if you guys missed it, I was able to clip out the section about the women going to space. So I did post a video. You know what happens. What are you going to do? You know, is what it is. Trying to stay optimistic in this landscape. You know, what are you going to do? Happy to be here. Happy to be supported by my patrons and my YouTube members. I really do appreciate it. I'm missing a video here. Why? Oh, here it is. I was like, where's the video? Okay, so this video, this video, this video. I have 3 specific videos I want to go over today. BoJack Horseman got posted yesterday. If you're interested for memberships on YouTube, I create exclusive content. Patreon won't let me create exclusive content for patrons because I'm an 18 plus Patreon. Not that I'm not safe for work. Like I just don't want kids on my Patreon. I don't know why kids can donate and be included in like communities online. Like I don't want 15-year-olds to be on my Discord discussing like nihilism versus capitalism or some shit. Like I'm not interested in talking to 15-year-olds about the meaning of life. Like I feel like I'm not a teacher. I didn't sign up to work with children. You know what I'm saying? So I try to keep my Patreon community safe by making sure people at least have to tell Patreon they're 18 plus. So Patreon's quote unquote more liable here. But because of that, Patreon won't let me upload exclusive content for patrons. And no, I am not doing unlisted links, though I appreciate the suggestions from people. It just doesn't work out the way you think it does. These programs are set up to push out people's content based off how well we integrate into the systems. So the reason I decided to dedicate my time to YouTube and make exclusive content for them is because they'll push out my content, which means more people will see it, which means I can get paid through Google AdSense and it doesn't have to be on the shoulder of my community alone. Though, of course, if you would like to help fund the content, always appreciated. But watching and liking does a whole lot. And sharing, posting on Reddit, sharing with your friends, you know, sharing the video around. Definitely helpful. Definitely indeed. Let's see. Let me pull up some stuff here. Okay, let me see. Let me set this up and we'll go ahead and jump in. I'm so excited for this first topic. I just think it's so interesting. And I definitely want to talk about it with you guys today. I think it'll be so fun. Okay, let's see. Da, da, da. Chat says the events are more than enough to make the Discord worth it. Thank you so much. I mean, I hope so. I mean, realistically, the whole point of giving to a Patreon is to so people can make content and not have to like work another job and not make as much content, and that's the idea. And then as a thank you, of course, there's perks involved, and we do weekly events. Like every Sunday I'm available on the Discord. We do watch events, discuss events. I feel like that's pretty good. You know what I mean? I feel like that's pretty good. But of course I know in this trying time it can feel like a lot of money. Like $10 a month can feel like a lot of money to give to one content creator, so I totally get it as well. And the reason, you know, what's so funny is this is kind of a perfect segue here. JREG is one of those content creators that I've loved over the years for many reasons, not even so much for his main channel content, but for his secondary channel content. And JREG, along with a couple of other YouTubers, are trying to create a community. You know, speaking of community, speaking of patrons and Discords, I like to think of my Discord as a third place, a community for people. Of course, the community flourishes based off participation, so it can't just be me showing up, right? People have to participate. And JREG made a video recently on his second channel called Cults versus Communities. And you guys know, like, the internet debate bros love to accuse me of running like a cult, which was so offensive to me at the time. But I did run a Discord that at one point was very active, like incredibly active, mostly because there were like one or two people there that would fight with everybody. And I realized because there were people who would fight with everybody, everybody wanted to see the drama. And once I kicked those people out of the community, less people wanted to be there, which one told me that people love drama and people do want controversy. But two, it also meant that people wanted a place that could be peaceful, but they didn't realize that peace also lacked stimulation. So it was like a double-edged sword. I kicked out the people that were being controversial and being inappropriate and causing problems. I kicked out the people who many people were complaining about. I got a ton of Discord messages saying this person's like being very rude, this person's harassing people, this person's being bad. So I kicked those people out. But once those people were gone, yes, I was much more at peace. But my Discord also became like a much quieter place. It's still a great place. I still love it. I think it's beautiful. But it is one of those things where when you think about what human beings need, they kind of need controversy to feel like they're involved in something unique and special. They wanted to feel like they were a part of something secret, which is what makes people think it's a cult. Not my Discord, but groups and communities that feel like they have like a special place, right? Now, the irony of community is that it needs to be funded. You can't just show up. You have to participate. You have to give money. Even when I was part of king communities or niche communities, you had to bring food. You had to participate in the potlucks. You had to give money to these communities who were hosting at their homes, who were supplying energy and electricity. I can't tell you how many house parties I would go to, and there would be a bin in which you could donate or Venmo. And yeah, it'd be nice to give people some money, because realistically, nothing happens without money. That's why there does seem to be a disconnect, I think, between people who say they want community and people who aren't willing to participate monetarily in those communities. And again, it's not just about it going to the content creator or host. It's about realizing that nothing comes for free and all of civilization costs something, right? And so, yes, we dream of no labor, but we really dream of labor that makes sense for our community, right? So it's kind of one of those things where there's nothing wrong with not being in an online space, but even if you're a part of a community in a physical space, it costs money, because it costs the money to get there, the money to show up, the clothes to buy, the bus ticket, the fare, you know what I mean? Like, nothing in life is free. And yet there are ways to mitigate costs and to also encourage us and inspire us to make sure that we pursue a responsibility with our monetary relationship. So like our jobs or our outlooks or the way we do spend our money. Look, when I grew up, definitely during a time in which participation was it was so high because we didn't have the internet. I didn't have a cell phone. I grew up before the internet was in our homes. I just remember so much socialization happening. I was constantly around people. Even though my parents homeschooled us, we were not without socialization. And a big part of that, where all of our parents participated, our neighborhoods participated, everybody showed up for the neighborhood event. And now the neighborhood that I grew up in, like at one point, I grew up in many places, but the one place I grew up in that I think of so fondly, it's dead. There's no livelihood. There's no kids walking around. There's no bicycles. There's nothing. It's just a quiet, beautiful suburb neighborhood with no life. And sometimes when I go back to visit 20 years later, people say, oh, when your family was here, this neighborhood was so lively. Oh, when you guys were all kids, this neighborhood had so much going on. And now it's quiet. And that just, it reminds me so much of the complicated relationship between community and individualism. You want to have community, but you also have to show up to have community. You want to be an individual and you want to be able to say, I don't want to have to show up every Saturday, which is so valid. But also, if you don't show up every Saturday, who will? You know? And so when we're having these conversations, I think there's so much to be said about what perspective we are entering the conversation with. So I want to enter this in good faith, that you can have community without it being a cult, that you can have a religion without it being a cult, that you can have a political movement without it being a cult. And we utilize, language to help us specify categorization. And so the BITE model for cult is really important here. I see chat says, do we think we could classify all religions as cults, technically speaking? No. By the BITE model, by every understanding we have of cults, most religions do not qualify as a cult, nor do they qualify as mental illness. Because that's not how it works. That's not the definition, right? I'm going to sneeze. This America, land that makes me sneeze. Just kidding, I'm not in America. Ooh. Oh my God, excuse me. Okay. Thank you, bless me. Thank you, bless you. Thank you, chat. Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, now again, I am not making a prescription. I am not saying you have to do anything. I am not saying you have to show up. I am not saying you have to be a patron. I am not saying anything. I just want to have the conversation because I know as a person who tried her hardest her whole life to form community, it was really difficult and it ended up being too much work and not enough reward. So now the community I try to form with intention is my Discord community or my Patreon community. One, it obviously pays my living, which I appreciate. It lets me make content, which I appreciate. But more than that, it tends to attract really introspective and interesting people. It's like we call it the Britney filter in a sense, where if you're interesting enough to find me interesting enough because you're as autistic as I am, then you'll want to join the Discord and be just as autistic. You know what I mean? This is like kind of the joke. But the truth is that, yeah, like the stuff that I'm interested in is pretty niche. Like philosophy and politics alone are pretty niche, subject matters. And because I don't fall neatly in any particular bubble, you're going to have to really be somebody that's like pretty curious and open-minded to even digest the content in the first place. Because I don't fit so neatly. Like one of the complaints I get from people is that they really like my content, but then I say something and it confuses them. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not going to be able to parrot every single part of your script to you because I'm, learning not to do that. But also I want to make sure that I'm signaling to the right communities. I want to make sure people know that I'm progressive and that I believe you're more than these political constructs and that I think you're dignified and beautiful and lovely and that I think humans are so much better than they think they are, but also we give them too much credit at the same time, I want to be here. I want to be present. I want to give you guys tools that I don't know if people realize they're not using or maybe expressing themselves in a particular way. I'll share with you something. One of the comments I get all the time that makes me it literally gags me. I'm literally gagged. Okay. Sometimes I'll get comments from people because I recently decided to stop putting my live streams behind a paywall for members. And I did that for two reasons. One, strategically for business. Fingers crossed, I would work for free to get paid, and somehow AdSense would pay my bills more than members. And two, I want to make dedicated, highly edited videos for YouTube members that I wanted to give them that time. I wanted to give them a reward for paying me and say, I'm going to make you specific content, not just a live stream. So live streams went for the public again, so I could make specific content for YouTube members, right? But one of the comments I get on my videos that just makes me gag is they'll say, oh, I'm so glad, Brittany, that your live streams aren't behind a paywall anymore. And I know what you're saying, so I'm going to translate in autistic speak. What you're saying is, I'm glad I can participate in something I couldn't afford before, which makes me feel like I'm a part of the group and I'm not left out. But the other way that sentence can be internalized is, I'm glad your live streams aren't behind a paywall. I'm glad you continue to work for free because your content's not worth the investment. Or, hey, I don't want to pay you for your work. I just want to reap the benefits of it. Or, hey, independent artists should get paid in one breath. And in the second breath, I'm glad you're posting work for free on top of everything else you do. Right? So it's the same narrative when we talk about parenthood and mothers, and we talk about how society isn't supporting mothers. And then when mothers complain about being mothers, we're like, fuck you, you chose to have kids. Human beings think they know what they want, but they don't know what they want. They also don't understand the consequences of not understanding that life isn't free. It's not about money, though. It is about participation. The freedom is about time, and the money is about the cost of that time. Right? And so we forget, this is a message that we have to internalize as the next cycle of adults moving into culture. That's why as I move into my 40s in the next few years, I'm trying to really understand my place as the adult in the room. Because I certainly don't feel like I'm quite ready for it right now. Even though I'm obviously the adult in the room in many ways, I have so much more wisdom to hopefully learn and earn. And God knows I haven't earned it yet. Right? Let's see, Chet says, how important is community to you if it's not your inner circle? And do you think it gets more important the older you get? It depends on how you view that concept. Inner circle to me is like people you grow old with in a very focused and concerted way. Like people who are very, very special to you, like very special. Like all of humanity cannot be special to us, but that doesn't mean we don't do life in some capacity with all of humanity. Look, all of humanity isn't very special to me in that inner circle sense, but all of humanity is very special because I do life with them in a civilization sense. We all have to think of each other as somewhat special in a sense because we all exist on a planet together. Though, of course, there's some humility that can play into this, in which we, as a species, want to be have enough humility to to acknowledge that we're not special. But that's too hard for people. Some people benefit, okay, there's two thoughts of philosophical thought, right? There's one thought that says human beings are calmer and better and more peaceful when they realize they don't matter. And the other thought is, no, people are calmer and more peaceful when they realize they do matter. And the question is, which one is your brain? Because some people's brains, like, they don't feel very special on this floating rock in space. So telling them they're special is going to feel like a lie. So they're going to need to internalize like we're not special, but that's what's so special about it. Now we can do something about it. And so the question is like, which one does your brain do? So inner circle is important, but inner circle you can also have conflict with. I have people in my inner circle that I think are so special and profound and more important than anybody else on this planet. And I will choose to go 20 years without talking to them over values than I would a stranger that I might do brunch with every weekend. Because when I say inner circle, I'm saying special. I'm saying specific. I'm saying would know you for the rest of my life. That I know some deep core part of you. I'm saying like this consciousness is so specific. That doesn't mean I'm going to know this person because in daily action, you could have this connection as an inner circle person with somebody who's a horrible person. And you're not going to talk to this person for 50 years, but that doesn't change your connection to them. And then on top of that, you could have a community that is an inner circle, but you see every week to clean up streets in your neighborhood. And you know for 50 years as well, but you don't feel as close to them. There's a barrier. There's a wall you put up that doesn't allow this person to breach past this, but you're still in commune with them. You're still community with them, right? That's the point. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that like knowing somebody intimately is not the same thing as building community with them. You don't have to know your community intimately to build with them. And I think that's kind of the deviation, is I think sometimes people fall into cult-like desires because they want to feel special, unique, and very close to people. And there's no need to feel close to people to make community happen. But the moment your brain wants to feel special, I think that's where the possibility of like parasocial or cult-like behavior happens. And to put your foot down and not let that happen is really difficult because you're fighting like a human desire to want to feel seen, right? And so like, again, all of these things are very subjective to the context, but let's use JReg's video to have this conversation even further because I pre-watched most of it myself and I was like, oh, I'll share this with Stream. I think he's getting at a point that's really important, and JReg is trying to build a physical community. So I think he's the one to speak on this. And I'm always interested in people trying to build community because I love the idea of it. But girl, y'all too much drama. Y'all too much drama. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot. It's a lot, you know? Chad says, I started watching your videos recently and I realized that the way your mind works is so similar to mine. And I've never had someone in my life whose brain computes similar to mine. That's so cool. So that's cool. That is cool. Hey, you know, you autistic? Because I'm autistic. Honestly, I love that. I think that's the point. It's like I'm always trying to reach out to the people whose brains work similarly enough to mine to get what I'm saying. And I think I found that. I really love my Discord community. I really love my YouTube community. I really love my community. I think every day a new person finds me that's like, you know, but again, I might end up attracting the wrong person, and the wrong person who's scary and a stalker is like, ooh, Brittany thinks like me, and me and Brittany are friends. And then all of a sudden I've got a stalker at my door. You know what I'm saying? So like the fear is, could be a stalker, could just be a cool human being. It doesn't mean we're going to be best friends, but it doesn't mean we can't build community together all the same. I don't have to be your friend to build community with you. I don't have to be your friend to build a community with you. This isn't a 1992 movie starring some kids in a bicycle gang who all need to be friends in order to build community, okay? We don't have to be friends to build community. Okay, let's watch JReg's video.
I bring up the fact that
Hold on, this is called Cults versus Communities.
Sometimes I bring up the fact that I have started a community, and sometimes I bring up the fact that I think atomization is bad. I think that we need other human beings to live full.
Hold on, the volume's too low. Give me a second. I'm so sorry. I just realized I had the wrong settings on, and now that probably sounded weird. Let me do that again.
Sometimes I bring up
Whoa, is that too loud now?
the fact that I have started a community, and sometimes I bring up the fact that I think atomization is bad. I think that we need other human beings to live full, complete lives. I bring up the fact that communities have historically been declining, and then I think that's a bad thing. And when I say this, it elicits some interesting responses. In some ways, this is an interesting channel because, like, the things that I say here, which really shouldn't be controversial, are like way more controversial than the things I say on my main channel. So like one of these things is like, community good? And when I say this, I elicit some interesting responses, typically from people without community. And this is one of the things they say. They say, how do you know you're not making a cult? How do I know that the community that I'm interested in joining isn't a cult? Okay, two things real quick, okay, before I even get into this.
Hold on.
One, I don't know if
Hold on, before J-Reg even gets into that. I noticed this too, where like people on the internet were like, oh my God, is Brittany building a cult around philosophy because she has a level system? And I'm like, what? And then I realized like, oh, I'm just trying to contribute to like philosophy before I die. But also I need other people to have the conversation with me so I could find the holes in my own logic. But also because it's around me and my ideas, it feels more cult-like than if I was starting a community around Pokemon. Nobody asks the Pokemon kid doing Pokemon every Saturday, are you building a cult around Pikachu? But because YouTubers tend to build cults, wow, there's that Freudian slip. Because YouTubers tend to build communities around their personality, it can be like cult-like personality creates cult-like behavior, right? Nobody wants to be Jared Leto except Jared Leto. But sometimes if you're a YouTuber, you get pinned as Jared Leto when you're just trying to vibe. And especially if you're autistic like I am, or you're queer like I am, or you're a minority like I am, the whole point of building a community is to have a safe space. But how are you going to have a safe space when there's so much diversity amongst our communities, right? It's not like every queer bubble is safe for all queer people. It's a different experience. But all of this to say, like, I think the idea is hard for people, like J-Reg said, because people don't have community, so they don't know what it's like. Listen, I grew up in community. My parents are community. My parents are a part of their communities. My parents are community people. My parents are community people in a way that's specific, but they're also like, very to themselves in a different kind of way, but they are still community people. I grew up community people. I grew up doing a little, like a newsletter in my neighborhood as a kid. Like I grew up washing people's cars on Saturday morning. I grew up babysitting people's kids at 11 years old. I was babysitting people's babies. Like, people trusted me. I was a part of the trusted group of kids in a neighborhood that people could call, give me a key to their home, and they would trust me to come into their home to feed their animals and children. Like I have been trusted my whole life to take care of people's children and pets. That has given me a sense of responsibility that I have carried into my adulthood. I want to be a trusted community member, which means my reputation matters, which means, right? Like I want to show up in a way that is good for my community, but not at the expense of myself, which means, you know what I mean? Like you can't, the issue with cults or cult-like personalities, it's usually at the expense of people. And I don't think they end up being good community members. And I think it shows. I think being a community member looks very different to different bubbles. So you have to think about it that way. But I do think people who criticize this the most might actually struggle with even knowing what being in a community might look like. Do you even know what it's like to be a good neighbor? Right? Like, even that, like that simple concept of like, do I know what it's like to be a good neighbor? Do people at church or at school reference our family as like a wonderful family? Are we known in the community? Can people's kids come to our house? Are we trusted parents? Like there are markers that my family ended up like, adhering to or earning throughout their life, in which we were the house people could come to. We were the get together house. We were the feed the neighbor's house. We were the, go over to so-and-so's house. Like they have all these kids. Again, I think people don't have this experience, and so they don't know what it looks like, especially online. But as somebody who had it growing up, I wish the internet could feel like, yeah, we're going to make a space. Some people might come in and be bad faith actors. We'll kick them out. But we're not trying to start a cult. We're just trying to have a community. We're literally just trying to chill, bro. But in order for everybody to chill, everybody got to be chill. And whoever's not chill has got to go.
If this take is too hot for this channel, but liberal society is terrified of organization. It's terrified of people coming together. It's terrified of people leaving their cubes, their pods full of goo, and organizing with other human beings. Terrified. It doesn't like that. And I think that part of the way that it enforces this terror is by feeding us narratives about cults. Because these are ways that, communities genuinely can go wrong, or can be like the guise of a community can psyop people who want community and take you into a bad place. And
And by the way, I just want to say the reason those cult accusations against me never went anywhere is because, one, the people that were upset with me were very toxic and had to be kicked out of the Discord because they were literally causing trouble. Two, the people who were facilitating that was Predator, Mr. Girl, and Predator Destiny in his community. Not Destiny directly, but his community. So obviously, like at the end of the day, it's like two misogynists who abuse their girlfriends. Literally, in my opinion, obviously, cheating on your girlfriends, hitting your girlfriends, being toxic towards your girlfriends. Okay, people that when I first interacted with them, I thought they were just edgy artists. My stupid autistic brain was like, these are just edgy artists and we're going to have fun and they have big communities and we're just going to get along. Stupid. I was stupid. I was stupid in any way to think that these two men were in any way just like edgy creatives who were going to like do something interesting with their lives. My bad. My bad. My bad. You know what I mean? But okay, I learned my lesson. Fuck, I learned my lesson. But you know what I mean? So even the accusations that they threw out at me were because they were too stupid to even understand what I was doing. But that's not their fault. They're men raised in bubbles in which they do the absolute basics and people praise them for being interesting. God forbid a woman try to contribute to philosophy. She must be running a cult. Jesus. The levels of misogyny that I literally ignored because I thought people were I thought I was in on the joke. I'm literally that autistic girl that's being made fun of and I think I'm in on the joke. I'm going to cry.
A charismatic cult leader, right? That everything revolves around. It's actually only beneficial to the charismatic cult leader, right? That's like a good example of a cult. Everything revolves around that charismatic character.
Exactly.
And everyone just wants the attention or the favor of that character.
Exactly.
So basically, what I'm saying here is, if you walk into, can you really not tell? This is my immediate response. If someone asks me, how do you know you're not walking into a cult? Can you not tell? Like, you walk in and they're sacrificing a goat, and then there's one charismatic cult leader who's like, you're my wife now, okay? If that's happening, yeah, you're probably in a cult. But I also think that's pretty rare. I think that's much rarer than just having a healthy generative community around you, right? So I think that we are overly freaked out about that concept, the cult concept. I think that it's used to push us into being more atomized, and I think it's not something to worry about. I think the fear has been stoked by all these like Netflix documentaries about cults. Interesting. Why would the Netflix people want us to be...
That, honestly though, Chad says we are all your wives. True. Chad says, is this the guy that people can't ever tell if he's serious or joking? Yeah, so J-Reg has a main channel, which he's like hyper ironic, jokey satire. This is his second channel where he's just like a person. He's just Greg. And he talks like a person, and we get to listen to him talk like a person, right? So there's his performative channel, which is his main channel. You go, woo, that's my favorite J-Reg song, woo. He is so good. And then this is his person channel.
Scared of community. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just going to stay in my room and watch more Netflix. Anyway, that's obviously schizophrenic, but you know what I'm getting at here. It's very frustrating as someone who believes in community and organization and social organization specifically, to get that as the kind of, got you. Bad communities exist too. I'm like, yes, obviously fucking bad communities exist. Obviously. Anyway, so that's one thing. You guys ready? Yeah. Okay, give me a second. Sorry, my community wants to go. The cult that I've built wants to go out tonight and go to Nuit Blanche, which is a Toronto music festival or art festival, and that's a crazy cult that we have because we're all fucking crazy. Sorry, I'm just It's all a little too much sometimes. Anyway, I think we're all really sick, is my point. I think we're all very deeply sick, and the axioms that have been built into the way that we live our lives are sick, and I need
So hold on before he goes on this tirade. Remember how we watched the Twin Flames cult the other day, and the participants of the cult were like, "We're not in a cult." One of the reasons people are concerned it's a cult is because of the alienation these people experience in relation to their families, right? Like, obviously, the joke on my Discord was like, people would be like, "Oh my God, Brittany, I'm so sorry. I have to leave the Discord." Y'all don't have to tell me. You know this, right? I love you. Thank you. But like, I'm not holding you hostage. You can just leave. Like, I'm not gonna, like, one time somebody was really, like, because people get mad. They want to get closer to me. They want to be my friend. And I say no. And then they get mad at me and I get it, blah, blah, blah. Human's gonna human. One time, a person left the Discord and left an anonymous message on my Patreon where they can leave like a survey. And they were like, "You're probably not even going to notice that I left. And that really like bothers me. I feel like we were closer than this." I still to this day have no idea who this random person might have been. Like, y'all must understand. Yes, you start to notice people, you start to learn voices, you start to learn usernames, you start to humanize the people you're interacting with. But y'all, at the end of the day, are strangers / adults / community members in which you're allowed to leave the community. When I was a part of outreach programs, political programs, when I was part of communities, political communities, nobody kept a list of when you didn't show up because that would be weird. It would be weird if you went to the dungeon every day and then didn't show up and people were like, "Why aren't you at the dungeon?" Like, it would be very weird if I was keeping track of my patrons and when they left in a very aggressive way. On occasion, I have noticed somebody get upset and I've reached out to them and said, "I respect you. I just want to make sure you were good," because I noticed we had like a moment, right? Like, I've definitely reached out to people that I felt like, okay, maybe I offended them and I want to make sure we're good. But at the same time, like, girl, leave. It's okay. And look, I've had people leave in grand fashion, right? I've had people get triggered, leave, be like, you think you're the greatest, you know, you live in a glass house. They've like written whole manifestos about me and then like left. Girl, we simply disagreed. Like, literally, I will disagree with somebody and they'll be like, "Wow, Brittany, like all these I get it, girl, go to therapy." But also, human's gonna human. And this is why I say the world is the way that it is. Because even when you try to do good and you know you're a good person, somebody has got to ruin it. The question is, how do we do it? So this is why I stopped doing calls, for one reason. And two, why I've removed DM access from, like, you can't DM me on Discord unless it's a tech question. You can't contact me. I want to mitigate any possibility for harm while still having a central community. So these are some of the ways I've implemented some changes. Look, if I do calls in the future, it's going to be at a price point that's obviously just for business and not for community building. If you want a community build, it's $10 a month. You can join the Discord and come to events. We have events every Sunday. And I'm available in a public space. If you want Brittany, I'm available in a public space. I'm not available in private. And these are ways that I have helped, like, possibly in the future have any issues, but issues will arise if somebody wants to make issues, right? Because it's just how humans are. You know, human's gonna human, right? What are you gonna do?
I think we really need to seriously like examine these axioms and see where this came from. And I made a little chart so that you can see the difference between a cult and a community. A cult is based around one central charismatic figure. A community, everyone is more or less peers with each other. And maybe there's some people who are just getting started out on YouTube in my community. Maybe there's some people who are more established, but the hierarchy is pretty natural if it exists at all. And when I leave, this is how you know it's a community. If I leave, the community exists without me. Right. People fall in love without me. People deepen their relationships without me. New YouTubers come by the studio while I'm away and they check it out. They stay. They sleep here. You know. So all this stuff happens without me. I get FOMO when I.
Same, like, you can be in my VC alone. You do not need me there. I don't have to be there for the Discord to be popping. I go to bed in Europe and I wake up to all like Americans having conversations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be there, which is really great. It's nice that people show up on the Sunday events if they specifically want an interaction with me. But I think sometimes they show up just to watch the content we're watching or just to have the discussion we're having. And I think that's nice. It's nice to want to show up just because I'm there too. That's okay. But I think what's important is that you know that I don't have to be there for you to want to be there. And that's great too. And look, this could just be a practice run for you. If you're like, I want to physically be in my community, but I'm not ready, join the Discord and make it your first online community that you transition to physical. For me, as a neurodivergent person who's like really introverted, an online community is serving me much better at the moment, right? Like that's just better, especially since I am in Europe and I'm all alone. I'm all alone. You know what I mean? Like I'm not looking to build physical community here in that traditional sense, like in a, I'd rather just do it online. And then that way everyone like around the globe gets to participate in their own ways. Like that's the way to do it. Like that's the way to do it,
I go on my trips. I went to Miami, London, Netherlands over the last month. I got FOMO every day because I was like, what's happening with my studio? Maybe someone's like leaving, going back home, and I want to wish them goodbye, but I can't because I'm in a different country. So this happens all the time. And I think that means that it's a community, right? It functions without me. I get shot in the head tomorrow. Everyone would still come in the next day. Well, hopefully they'd be sad, but they'd come in the next day and life would continue.
And that's the difference. Because my Patreon was created so I could make content. If I died, I obviously assume you guys would stop being patrons because like who are you paying that money to, right? And that's important too, is like he's building an outside physical community that is going to outlive him versus ultimately like my Discord and Patreon is connected to the fact that I'm a content creator and I'm trying to raise money to be a content creator. Because realistically, that was the point of Patreon for most everybody, is that we get paid so we can make content. So we don't have to, because remember, before I was a full-time YouTuber, before my Patreon and my members and stuff boosted, I had to have a job. I always worked 2 jobs until maybe even 3 jobs until I could become a content creator full-time. And now I work 3 online jobs to maintain my status online. So I have 3 income revenues that basically help me keep me afloat. But like that's the reality of the difference. Is like Greg is trying to make an actual community, which I just want to make it clear. I'm trying to make an online space that's chill and there. But eventually it's okay if you outgrow the content. It's okay if you do something else. It's okay if the journey ends for you on my Discord. Versus it sounds like Greg is saying he's creating a community that maybe will even outlive him, which would be interesting,
Continue. They would have their desk there still. We'd all still be paying the rent to the studio. Everything would continue. So I don't know who this is for, because I don't think anyone that atomized brained has been watching my channel this long. But yeah, that's what I think. Okay, that's what I think.
Okay. Hold on.
Sometimes I bring up the.
Okay. Thank you for the video. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and put Greg's video in the chat. You guys can check it out. Check that out. Okay, Discord said, honestly, I've gotten in real life community from this community. I've hung out with several people who I originally met here, and so far everyone has been lovely in person. I think the great thing about online communities is that maybe you build friendships that transition into in person, even if it's just even if you're just in town for a few days. I agree. Definitely. I've definitely made friends through my online community. I mean, technically, I found my partner through my Discord because they came to the Discord and I met them through my online community. And realistically, that was like the greatest thing that could have happened for me because I think I've done a really good job at building a community of like adults who aren't like stalker fangirls. But some of them, there was a few. Okay, we had a few problems, but notice I didn't date those people. Like, notice the people that were problematic got blocked and weren't invited. It's not like, I met up with those people. I obviously got a feeling, though actually, technically, we did do a couple of meetups. I used to do meetups all the time, by the way. Do you know that's how I originally met the person who ended up stalking me and I had to go to court for it? Is I was doing meetups all the time. And that's happened, okay? I have met up with some people that I've had to block over the years. I'm never going to stop trying to meet good people, but I will accept that along the way I will meet bad people, and I fully expect that to always be the case. No matter what community I join, who I meet, no matter how many meetups I have, I will not lose the opportunity to meet amazing people just because somebody might be a bad person. And I think that's the difference between I will refuse to be a shut-in. I refuse to give up on people, and I refuse to give up on the opportunity of making great connections while understanding there will be limitations for how close, people will be, right? And that's the thing, is like at the end of the day, I can't always predict how people will react, but I'm not going to, I just refuse to miss out on the opportunities because some people might be shitty. I think I think it's bad to think everyone's a bad person. And I think it's bad to think everyone's a bad enough person to stalk you or ruin your life. I think it's not good to live constantly anxious and paranoid about people while living mindfully and, reasonably and being cautious. Like, you can be cautious without becoming like a shut-in. Like, I don't want to become a shut-in. I don't want to forget there are good people. And I'm happy to keep learning the hard way that people aren't who they present themselves to be. It is what it is, right? But I do not regret any attempts I've ever made at physically meeting people or being in people's presence or giving people a chance. I just don't. I can't. I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, how can I regret it when along the way I've met so many good people? It just seems weird to do that, right? Okay, great video. I'm glad we covered it. I think it's so important. And here's to continuing to try to build a community, avoiding becoming a cult, and remembering it's always okay to step away from community. It's okay to take a break from community. Sometimes community is too stressful. Okay, sometimes it's too stressful. All right. Let's go to the next story. This is recommended by the Discord, and I thought, this is Kumo, a small content creator, and I guess I was watching the video a little bit on my own to see if I would watch it during stream. He, at one point, says he's a gay man, so FYI, but we're going to watch this video. I've never heard of them, and it's about queer baiting, pay for gay, which I find fascinating. I'm so into this topic. Like, gay for pay is so interesting to my brain. So fascinating. So I'm definitely interested to seeing how this video turns out. Thank you, Discord, for the recommendation.
I want to go back more to your sexuality.
My sexuality.
So you're a straight man.
Straight man.
100% straight man.
I'm not sexually aroused by men.
Your sexuality. What is your sexuality?
I'm straight.
Straight.
Yeah,
100% straight.
Do you ever feel like you're, misleading guys by, posing in gay shots?
No, because if they feel like I'm misleading them, then they need to get better glasses because it's ridiculous. Because on my page, because I'm a straight guy, and it's my OnlyFans.
90% of the guys that do gay porn don't identify as gay.
Okay. In the pantheon of queer pop culture, a few phenomena are as enduring or as perplexing as the gay man's obsession with the straight man. It's a fixation that stretches back decades, rooted in the shadows of a society that once deemed queerness as deviant and straightness as aspirational. Today, that obsession manifests in our wallets, our screens, and of course, our critiques, no way more visibly than in the rise of numerous gay for pay creators. We may clutch our pearls and cry queer baiting, yet our pockets fling open faster than a drag queen's fan at the sight of a tip. The contradiction is deliciously hypocritical, and I think it's time we unpack it. The history, the internalized homophobia, the exploitation, and of course, the funding that keeps this machine humming. Gays, let's discuss. Hello, Dennis. Welcome here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where people watch me speak about whatever crosses my mind. And
Whoa, this is on 1.25 speed. Is this too fast? He talks fast.
I'm okay with that. And judging by my last upload, it seems like it's been a while since I've had anything on my mind, but trust me, okay, I've had a lot on my mind. I gained a lot of weight, and I hated how I looked on camera, so yeah, that's why I disappeared. Also, I feel like you'll take people with mics more seriously, and my mic is taking a long time to get delivered, so bear with me and pretend this is a real mic, okay? I came across this particular clip a few weeks ago, and it got me thinking, so let me play that clip for you right now.
My problem with gay baiting is when they are purely pretending to be gay, and that hits my heartstrings because I have struggled with my sexuality from a young age. And actually, sometimes I used to wish I wasn't gay. When I was struggling to come out, I was like, fuck, this is the worst thing in my life. And then there's people out here who are straight, did not have to struggle with what I struggled with, and are openly pretending to be gay. Yeah. And then they're, on top of that, they're making shit tons of money out of it, exploiting our community. And I would use that word exploiting because I feel if you're not open with your sexuality and explicitly saying beforehand, I am straight, and you are just pretending to be gay, you are exploiting the gay community.
So in today's video, I thought it'd be fun for you and I to just kind of sit down and
that premise alone is very interesting. I can see the perspective of feeling hurt about somebody owning an identity that's not theirs in order to make money for something that you spend every day battling as a closeted queer person who has BPD because she was gay growing up. Yeah, that can be really traumatizing. But then my capitalistic marketing brain is like, pay to gay, pay for gay, pay for gay, pay for gay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there is a part of my capitalistic brain that is like whatever it takes to make the bag. But then there's a part of my community brain that's like, but maybe not. But maybe not. You know what I mean? So I could see both perspectives for sure. But then every time a straight man, misogynist, says, all these women can make money so easy on OnlyFans, I always say, then go make money on OnlyFans. Gay guys will pay you. And that's kind of straight for gay. Gay for pay. You know what I mean?
and sort of like pull out this hypocrisy. And I want to state my case of how you, Okay, and we, gay men, cannot be angry at queerbaitas or gay for pay creators when our pockets are quick to open for them. Because I think it's kind of wild for our community to condemn what it continuously consumes. First, let's start with a history lesson of our forbidden fascination. The gay male fixation on straight men is not a 21st century invention birthed by OnlyFans or Man.com. It's practically biblical, a tale as old as queer desire itself, or at least since the ancient Greeks were wrestling naked and calling it philosophy. From the chiseled soldiers of ancient Sparta to the rugged cowboys of the American West, straight masculinity has long been fantasized as the pinnacle of unattainable allure. In the 20th century, this obsession found a cinematic home in the homoerotic subtext of Hollywood's golden age. Think James Dean's brooding rebellion or Marlon Brando's sweat-soaked machismo.
He's gay, right? Marlon Brando? Right?
These were men who didn't need to be gay to captivate gay imaginations. Their very straightness was Aphrodisiac, well, bisexuality in James Dean's case, but you get the picture. Then came pornography, that great equalizer of fantasy, which turbocharged this dynamic. The advent of gay porn in the 1970s introduced the straight trade trope.
Yo, I don't even like red apples like that.
Blue-collar hunks, frat boys, jocks who dabble in on man-on-man action for the right price. Gay men didn't just want other gay men anymore. They wanted the fantasy of converting the unattainable, of being the exception of a straight man's rule. It's a power play, a reclamation of agency in a society that stripped it away. Studios like Cult and Falcon built empires on this premise.
Okay, good point. Chet says, being gay for pay is queer baiting. It's porn. You're not supposed to feel personally connected to the actors. Like, does their sexuality really matter? Great question. I think, listen, do you guys know when I stopped kind of watching real people porn? I started to stop watching it I used to watch it all the time. Like, I used to literally watch it all of the time, right? I think I stopped watching it around James Dean. No, James Dean? What was that guy who what's her name now? The girl who reads, well, there's a vibrator, man, I'm really sucking right now. When she came out alleging that he abused her, and I believe her, and I realized, like, oh, the porn I'm watching, I never know how much of it is consensual. Ooh, the porn I'm watching, I don't know. So then I was like, I'm going to watch cartoons. I'm going to watch hentai. Stoya, thank you. I was like, I'm going to watch cartoons. I'm going to watch hentai. And then I watch hentai, and sometimes I go back to it, but mostly I just got this imagination right here, girlies. I use this imagination right here, girlies. You know what I'm saying? So I think that ethically sourced porn, if you know what I'm saying, don't sign up for my OnlyFans if you watch me on YouTube, really. But if you're interested in OnlyFans, like, I just posted an 8-minute video that I thought was pretty fire, consensual as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I create the consensual because I know that I was there. I chose to be there. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things where it can be difficult to know what to consume if you care about those lines. So sometimes it feels the same way when doing gay for pay, because sometimes you like content creators, like porn creators, the same way you like a content creator. You're watching them because you know they create good work and you support their work and you want to give them money. Now, not everyone consumes porn that way. Most people consume porn never learning the porn star's name, right? That's true. Okay. But it doesn't change the fact that some people feel closer to their porn stars than others. So yeah, like, I could see why them not really being gay can feel offensive. Though at the end of the day, you're also not a policeman or a plumber who needs their drain snaked. So I think in the end, we're all, you know, it's a porn movie. We're all playing a character. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's something to be said. But I think it's a good conversation to be had all the same. I think we should be having the convo. You know, chat says if you die, we can sponsor your wife to continue the Discord. I mean, you certainly could. You know, I told her, I was like, when I die, because if I die before you, you have to tell my community. You have to put out a video. You have to say something. You have to refund their patrons, and you have to do stuff. And she was like, I'm gonna be too sad to do any of that. I was like, well, you gotta figure it out. Somebody's got to do it. But you guys know the rule. If I'm gone for 3 days and I haven't messaged anybody and you haven't seen me be active online, I'm probably dead, because you know your girl does not take 3 days off from the internet. So that's never happened. You know what I mean? That's never happened. Chess says we'll fundraise the funeral. Girl, I'm going simple pimple for my funeral. My parents said don't even ship the body back home, girl. Do whatever you want in Croatia. I told him make it easy peasy. Do the easiest, cheapest thing with my body. Okay? Do it. Make it cheap, you know? Make it cheap, you know? At most, you can turn me into jewelry and auction it off for like a trans fundraiser. you know? Ted says, aren't they Catholic? Yeah, they're Catholic, but it's a part of like, my parents are Catholic, but I'm not Catholic. So it's not up to them what I do with my body. You know? It's not up to me. It's not up to them. I will say though, we do have a family plot in Croatia, so maybe they'll just put me there. Like, you know what I mean? That's where I'd put my partner. If they died before me, I just put them there. You know what I mean? Chad says, oh, they're supportive. That's nice. Oh, I wouldn't say they're supportive. I would say they don't have a choice. Oh my God. I would say they don't have a choice. I don't know if I would call it supportive. You know what I mean? But I would say they don't have a choice. So I'm going to do whatever I want with my body.
Selling the idea that these men were curious enough just to cross the line, but not so much that they want to stay. And it's this historical thread that weaves into today's gay for pay stars. Men who perform queerness for profit while maintaining a straight identity off screen. Enter your favorite boys. Malik Delgado, Mario Adrian, Timothy Champagne, although Timothy may not be a favorite at the moment, but whatever. These men are modern torchbearers of this legacy, cashing in on a desire that we have nursed for generations.
Oh, and this is not just specific to porn stars. Let's be real, actors do this all the time. Right? Like actors do this all of the time. Straight guys get a lot more praise for playing gay on screen. And by the way, coming out as gay is still controversial. There are a lot of people who still haven't come out as gay, even though they're in positions of quote power, because they will lose roles. They will lose opportunities. Again, you might think homophobia is over, but girl, it's alive. Okay? It's alive. Chad says actors don't be fucking though. Well, first of all, I don't know that. And second of all, I mean, they be doing everything but. We're funny today, guys. We're funny today. We're too funny today.
Now is the part we ask ourselves, why do gay men keep coming back to this well? The answer lies in the shadow that haunts queer identity.
Oh my God, is that a date? Does he have a date in his drink? Is that literally, where's the yogurt, girl? I love a date with yogurt, but I'm plant-based now and no dairy, so... That's the one thing I wish Croatia had. I've got to go to a bigger store and see if they have vegan yogurt. I miss yogurt so badly. I can't even explain to you. See, how can yogurt be bad? I'm really thinking about this vegan philosophy stuff. Guys, yogurt is unethical, according to vegans. Yogurt, one of the greatest. How could we be put on a planet that makes it so fucking clear we could be making the greatest things that have ever occurred? Like croissants. Like, I don't get it. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be an ethical way to have a good relationship with a milking cow to on occasion have some fucking yogurt. Maybe not the way we do it now. We waste so much yogurt. You know what I mean? But maybe it could all be ethical if we didn't expect it to be there every day. I don't know, bro. It's hard for me. I know we're not supposed to use animals as labor. But damn. Food is so good, you know? I don't know. What are you going to do?
Internalized homophobia. Decades of societal messaging have taught us that straightness is superior, more masculine, more authentic, more desirable. To be gay, we've been told, is less than. So when a straight man...
Chad says maybe start a little hobby farm. First of all, nobody got money for that. My brother's little farm for his family is like $13K a month. Nobody got fucking money for that, okay? And you said care for your animals like your fam. I don't milk my family. Just FYI, y'all, I don't milk my family.
Deigns to step into our world, even briefly, it feels like validation. The notion that we're worthy of the real man, the one that society deems superior, a fleeting taste of the masculinity we've been conditioned to crave. Malik Delgado's chiseled jaw and Judah-honed physique doesn't just turn heads. They whisper that a real man has chosen us. However, transactionally, of course. Mario Adrian's cheeky winks at queerness tease a possibility we've internalized as rare, that straight men might secretly want.
There are so many YouTubers who have used this to gain popularity as well, which, by the way, I think is gross. Oh, the other day, somebody asked me about this and I didn't answer them because in the comment section, I forgot. When I said I'm anti-fan fiction, and they asked me a specific form of fan fiction, but it wasn't that kind. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who make fan fiction about two YouTube stars having sex together and being gay together because they've fantasized about it. That's what I'm saying is weird. But I also think it's weird that YouTubers play it up for their audience. But I also know people do that even with friendships and stuff because they're living parasocially through that friendship. The audience wants to believe you're all friends because they desire a friend group they don't have. So when they see YouTubers playing Among Us and all being friends, they're like, I could have that. I could have a friend group. And since I don't have a friend group, it's nice to see them be a friend group, right? But yeah, like, what's the guy's name? Phil and Dan. Phil and Dan, is that their names? I think that's the two people I'm thinking about. There were these two boys on the internet and people would gay, you know what I'm saying? And it was so toxic and it was so bad. I just remember thinking like, okay, Discord is confirming Phil and Dan, yes. That is so inappropriate, right? But people were doing it and people were being so weird. And it's that kind of stuff I don't like. I don't like that. I don't like writing fan fiction about real people in a situation that they certainly didn't consent to. But it's so inappropriate, right? That's the stuff that, you know, but then there are people who would do it like on purpose. You know, oh, like I'm going to kiss him. Maybe I'll kiss him. I'm his friend. Maybe we'll be more than friends. And like then people watch just for the thrill of like, will they kiss? You know? Oh, Discord said a few years ago they came out as dating but scolded their audience and said how uncomfortable it made them. See, I don't know anything about them, but see, that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't be just like, you know, yes, people did it to Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. Yeah. Yeah, like it's weird. It's just weird. And let's be for real, it's a girl audience that does that. Girls are not like girls, boys, your gender doesn't make you a good or bad person, but your relationship to how marketing has convinced you this is okay, but this isn't. I was there. I can't tell you how many of my friends growing up, first of all, loved writing fan fiction, and they would write like Harry Potter, Malfoy fiction, which fine, no judgment. They're fictional characters, but also like, what are we doing? Like in some way, like, what are we doing? Just like in a little bit of a way, like, what are we doing? You know, I get it. Masturbate to whatever you want to masturbate to, but also like, what are we doing? But to be fair, I've read a lot of romance books, and now that I go back and read them, I'm like, these kind of rapey though. These super rapey. And I'm like, I could not read them the same. I could not find these heterosexual rapey romance books good anymore. 15 years ago when I was reading them, I was eating that shit up, okay? I was eating that shit up. And now that I'm here at this point in my life, I'm not interested. Thanks. But human's gonna human. And maybe it's just a stage we go through. Maybe we are meant to go through a stage where we're exploring our sexualities, especially when you come from a repressed home like I did. You're exploring sex and liberation. Like I remember when I busted out of my virginal Catholic bubble, I did think like edgy porn, edgy jokes, edgy was like truth somehow. Because if it was edgy, it was honest. But now what I've learned at the ripe age of 35, almost 36, girls, I'm a month away from my birthday. Okay, we're streaming that day. It's a birthday, and my birthday falls on a weekday. We're streaming. Okay, we're going to birthday stream next month. Okay, 36 years old, baby. Let's go. Now that I'm like that age, yeah, I've lost my taste or interest in being edgy in that same capacity because I love a little joke. But yeah, I don't think it's like deeply profound to smear your face full of poop and then to eat it. I'm over it, guys. Like, I'm over it. You know, I'm over this being like art. I'm like, I don't know. You just kind of got poop all over you now, dude. You know, like I'm over it. But when I was like, 21 years old, I was like, whoa, is this like deeply profound, bro? Somebody's like doing a scat scene and maybe it's about the meaning of life portrayed through the waste of our souls. Yo, we consume this food and it comes out like a turd, but maybe that turd is a symbol for life. Yeah, there's something here. You know what I mean? Like, girl, I'm over it. You know what I mean? I get it. I'm past it. Thank you.
And Timothy Champagne's fluidity blurs the lines we've been taught are rigid, making his performances a submersive thrill. This isn't just lust, it's a symptom. Internalized homophobia twists gay desire into a paradox where the straight man becomes the ultimate conquest, a trophy proving we're worthy of attention. It's why Delgado's insistence that he's never been attracted to men before being on camera doesn't deter his fans, it enhances his appeal. The straight man who performs gayness offers a fantasy of conversion, a narrative that says our love, or at least our money, can bridge the unbridgeable. But this fantasy comes at a cost. It reinforces the
That's where that pressure of like, I can turn you straight, I can turn you gay. People want to feel special. People want to feel special, and we're all chasing the worst way to feel special. And that's the problem. That's the difference. Love that makes you feel special sometimes looks like a life people couldn't imagine wanting because it doesn't look the way that the special has been sold to us. like converting people, changing people, radically seeing, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wow. Hey, that's good. I should make a whole pod on that. Ooh, I have thoughts about that. Yeah, we want to feel special. And the way that we feel special has been corrupted by, funny enough, kind of like a consent violation in a sense. I think that's why the priest fantasy is so hot. He shouldn't do it, but if I could tempt him, ooh, but it's so taboo. It's like, it's why the taboo thing is so big in our brain, but it's so actually gross in real life. In real life, it is absolutely fucking deplorable to try to seduce a person who's taking a vow of celibacy into, you know, same thing with vegans. It's fucking deplorable to try to trick a vegan into eating animal product because you think like, but if they just ate meat, they'd want it. I've seen so many meat eaters like revel in the fact that they've tricked a vegan or a vegetarian into eating meat as a way to say, see, you do like it. It is good to you. You're a freak, dude. And you're doing it just to boost your own ego. Crazy.
Idea that gay men alone aren't enough, that our own masculinity, our own queerness, pales in comparison to the straight ideal. It's one of the main reasons why feminine gay men like myself take a little bit longer to find love, but that's neither here or there. This isn't to say that every gay man watching Delgatti is wrestling with self-loathing, far from it in fact, but the cultural undercurrent persists. Straight men are the prize, and gay men are the pursuers. It's a dynamic that flatters the straight ego while quietly diminishing our own. And that, my dears, is where the exploitation comes in. So let's talk about the specifics of this exploitation game, because I feel like it's kind of interesting. Starting with Malik Delgatti, the Canadian French porn star, is a textbook case. He's a
Man, you know what I think when I see men who are shirtless with muscles? Why can't I be a man who's shirtless with muscles?
beefcake who went from judo mats to stripping poles to men.com's golden boy. Malik's story is peak gay for pay lore. A straight guy who stumbled into gay porn during the pandemic because, well, construction just wasn't cutting it. By 2022, he was the most searched gay porn star on Google, and by
I don't know why the audio is skipping out. I think it might be his video.
2024, Pornhub crowned him the most viewed gay performer. Straight, sure.
Oh, I think they're censoring the word porn. My bad.
He says so, though he's admitted to enjoying the occasional dude on camera. Malik exploits the queer community's thirst with surgical precision. His brand is built on that straight guy next door allure, hot, muscled, and just unattainable enough to keep us clicking. His social media posts are a masterclass in teasing. Shirtless gym selfies, captioned with winking emoji.
Okay, my Instagram's about to change, guys, to shirtless muscle videos or muscle pictures. But see, he's got clean face, baby face. I feel like I need a beard. I should just become gay Jesus. Oh my God, the Christians would be so mad at me. Gay girl Jesus. I just feel like they'd be so mad at me.
She's paired with clips from his latest men.com romp. He's not queerbaiting in the traditional sense. He's upfront about that paycheck, but he's still cashing in on our fetish for the straight guy gone wild.
As a straight guy, I'm selling what the people cannot have. It's the dream that we sell.
So you think of yourself as a dream. What kind of dream are you selling?
Just the dream of the straight boy doing it.
And we? Eating it up. Yep, Cash App stays open and rich.
True, eating it up, bro.
It's exploitation dressed as professionalism, catering to the gay desire without ever reciprocating it. Let's move on to this next interesting fellow, Mario Adrian. The German ex-model turned comedian, podcaster, YouTube, OnlyFans tease takes a different tack. He's not a gay-for-pay adult film star, though he has dabbled in some OF stuff, but he's a maestro when it comes to queerbaiting adjacent vibes. Mario's whole shtick, think the Uncensored podcast with titles like Straight Guy Doing Gay Porn, the videos on his YouTube channel.
Actually, I know who this guy is because my brother's gay, and my brother follows a lot of gay YouTubers, which I actually don't. I don't follow a lot of gay dude content creators. I follow very few, like 5 or 6 of them. But there are so many I do not follow, or people who tease the gay aesthetic. And this just proves I'm pansexual. And I'm not ultimately like a gay man. You know what I mean? It's so interesting, the bubbles. Yeah, I'm not in that bubble.
They're all like a playful nudge at the gay gays. You know, he's straight, I would say, allegedly. However, that is actually a straight man. But he's happy to lean into the homoerotic for just like sloth and that sweet romance.
See that?
Lean into the homoerotic for just like sloth and
this right here. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous position to put yourself in. This is obviously for the clickety clacks. The clickety clack and the clickety click. This is the clickety clack. Okay? This is ridiculous. Ridiculous, okay? But it works. I would click on that thumbnail just to be like, looks gay. It looks like a homosexual.
That sweet, sweet bromance calendar cash. It gets even juicier when you consider how his rise to popularity in the gay space was aided by a gay man, which then enabled him to rope in another straight, but more on the questioning side, into all of this too. Mario's interesting dynamic with fellow YouTuber Travis Bryan.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It works. Look at this. Look at this. You know what it is also? It's a display of affection from men that we are so deprived of and don't see, that when we see it, we're like, oh my god, the world is healing. Do you know what I'm saying? This in some way sends a message to my brain like the world is healing. I just need Andrew Tate and Justin Waller to do this, please. Andrew Tate and Justin Waller, get on it. Sneeko and Aiden, let's go. Trump and Elon, well, you already know they're doing that. Let's go. We need to heal the world of this toxic masculinity. Y'all need to sit on each other's laps. Make it happen.
And said questioning straight man, Jeff Kassa, is a bromance so thick you could cut it with a spork. I mean, their Twitter posts show them shirtless, flexing, and giggling together, while their videos on TikTok and YouTube amplify the are they or aren't they tension. I mean, Travis and Jeff actually had sex on camera.
Hey.
That would be are they or aren't they tension. I mean, Travis and Jeff actually had sex on camera.
What?
That was something. Mario, however.
See, I absolutely know why certain audience members of mine don't watch my OnlyFans, which again, so valid, because I wouldn't watch most YouTubers' OnlyFans. If you're in my stream audience, it might feel very weird because I don't listen. If I was a boob streamer, it'd be different. If I was like one of the bathtub streamers, it'd be so different. If I came on stream every day and I was obviously like using my body, and which by the way, love it. We love to see it, girls, like no judgment. But if that was the brand, and I thought about making that my brand, okay? But I want to talk about Palestine, and that just doesn't work when you're a booby streamer, okay? It's weird. I want to be able to talk about genocide, and you can't talk about genocide while you're in a bathtub. It's disrespectful. Okay? So all of this to say, I can see why it doesn't translate YouTube audience to OnlyFans. Usually my Instagram audience translates better to my OnlyFans. That's where a lot of the traffic comes in, but that makes more sense to me. Versus, because the people who follow me on Instagram might not know about my YouTube channel because it's a different platform. They're not connected in a big way. You know, people might not know it. So it's interesting, like when he said like, oh, there are content creators with porn. I don't think I would watch it. I don't think I would be interested in it. Maybe because it's hard to, I think I'd want distance from my creator, maybe. Discord said, is your OF more traditional porn or is it erotic art or both? Well, it's just solo content. It's pictures and photo shoots. And I create DMs that I send out with PPVs. So you can pay for videos and I make like masturbation videos and stuff. And I'm like naked and doing stuff for sure. Like my whole body's on the internet, But like I make stuff that I think is pretty, but I would say that's like, I feel like a classic masturbation video is like pretty out there. You know, the average person, like if ContraPoints made a OnlyFans, like I don't want to watch it because like Contra makes good video essays and like that translation wouldn't work as a viewer. Like if Philip DeFranco made an OnlyFans, like I don't want to watch it. Not because Phil wouldn't be great, but because like, Phil tells me the news. You know, like it would be a weird brand shift. So I understand why most of the people in my audience wouldn't be watching me on OnlyFans because like it's a weird brand shift, right? Like it's like I watch Britney so we can talk about like bubbles and philosophy. Now there might be some overlap between the audiences, which is great, right? Like totally. But generally speaking, that's why people like to know what a content creator does. I didn't want to build a whole platform on YouTube just to surround my OnlyFans because my YouTube came first, right? I love my YouTube channel. It is my primary source of income. It's where I spend most of my time. And yeah, my OnlyFans is great. I love it. But yeah, it's different. They're different audiences, right? In some ways, I shouldn't be doing both. I should be focusing all my attention on one or the other, but I can't help it. You know what I mean? I can't help it, you know? Kat says, I've been tempted to check out your OF, but I love your content too much. I mean, look, honestly, follow me on Instagram because a lot of the shoots I do on OF, I take the most censored ones and put them on Instagram. and the most uncensored ones, so like I'm naked or something, will be on OF. And so I think, I thought about this for a long time because I think my OnlyFans, obviously, because of the masturbatory content, alienates people who would sign up to watch like nude erotic art that isn't about masturbation. But I want to do both right now, but there might be a point where I have like an OnlyFans that isn't about masturbating, but for now it just doesn't make sense to do that monetarily. It doesn't make sense. It's like if it can go on Instagram, it's probably good enough for the general public. You know what I mean? OnlyFans really, I love OnlyFans as a platform. Can I just tell you, if YouTube ever kicks me off, I'm just going to make Brittany Simon content on OnlyFans that's like the same content I'm making here. I love OnlyFans. Their website is so intuitive. It's so good. It's such a good space. Honestly, I'm tempted every day to like not use Patreon and to use OnlyFans instead because I can post exclusive content there. Honestly, that might be a good idea. I didn't think about it till just now. It might be a better idea. But see, you know what the dilemma is? No. But you know what the dilemma is? YouTube doesn't let you put OnlyFans links in the description. So I have to use Patreon. Do you know YouTube will give you a strike if you have an OnlyFans link in your descriptions? Do you know that? Anyways, okay, never mind. Scratch that idea. Wouldn't make sense. YouTube will ban me. Isn't that crazy?
Strictly sticks to the homoerotic teasers. His content flirts with queer sensibilities from the shirtless thumbnails to cheeky innuendos, but he's quick to clarify his straightness. In fact, he always clarifies his straightness.
It's went up so much. Yeah, I have a girlfriend. Listen, I always say,
don't worry, guys. I'm keeping the Patreon. Everybody relax. Don't worry. Because you're right. It would ban possibly adult websites. Yeah. So don't worry about it. Chad says, don't they punish Linktree too? Yes. So you can go to BrittanySimon.com. BrittanySimon.com. I got a little website if you ever want to check out my OF or other links to other things. BrittanySimon.com. That's where you can find the links to other things I'm working on that I can't put in the YouTube description, which really is just OnlyFans. But
I'm European, right? I have a girlfriend. But also, who gives a fuck? It's all an experience. It doesn't like...
It's classic queerbaiting, dangling the possibility of queerness to hook an audience, then retreating to the safety of heteronormativity. Adrian's not selling sex outright like Delgatti, but he's peddling a fantasy of accessibility. A straight bro who gets us until he doesn't. He's the guy who knows the queer community will stand a straight woke ally who is just flirty enough to keep us guessing, and most importantly, subscribing. Then there is Timothy Champagne. Oh, yeah, that curly head chaos. Let's get into this a little bit, okay? Once a gay adult film darling and OnlyFans favorite, Timothy's recent coming out as gay, circa early 2025, has the queer internet in a tizzy. Classic tale. Straight boy makes adult films, rakes in a gay audience somehow, starts making adult films that are gay, while continuously clarifying that he's straight, makes even more money, then comes out, dumps his girlfriend, starts saying he's looking to date men, and of course, everybody loses interest. Now, he's stuck making these cringy reels in a deep inhalation state talking about how much money he no longer makes.
My incomes went down. It's at $55,000 now. I used to make closer to $125,000 a month.
And now that he's come out as gay, he doesn't make as much.
Whoa, that's a fucking lot of money, bro. Holy shit. 55K a month, and that's down low, bro? That's low?
All right. Timothy's exploitation game was anything but subtle, yet somehow still effective. He played the ambiguous jock, letting fans project whatever they wanted onto his boyish charm. Post coming out, that didn't work anymore. Now he's calling out the very same system that he himself profited from.
Guys who fake being gay in the gay modeling industry that are actually straight, and I have actual evidence.
It's a bold move, but it's also peak hypocrisy. He built his brand on the same queer thirst for straight men that he now sort of like critiques.
I faked being gay for millions of dollars and millions of views. This isn't a joke.
Darling, you cannot cash the checks, then burn the bank down. That's not how it works. These men share a playbook, leverage the gay man's historical craving for the straight validation, package it in muscle and bravado, and watch the profits roll in. They're not forcing us to watch, they're just reading the room we've decorated with our own insecurities. It has gotten so ridiculous now that we have men like Baby No Me, using queerness as a butt of a joke whenever the views go down.
I don't like him, but not as a person, just as a brand. I don't like his brand. I don't like his music. I don't like his brand. I don't like the queer baiting. I don't like his brand. I'm not mad about him. I don't know who he is as a person. all I see is a brand and I've never liked it. He'll make this brand where he'll get on TikTok and be like, he'll say the most fucking basic takes because he knows the audience will love it. Like, AI art is theft. And then everyone's like, woo! And he's all like, I might kiss Charlie. Woo! Like, you know, I don't like it. I'm not saying he's a bad person. I just don't like the brand. I don't. Where is Zoe Unlimited? She needs to come in and explain this brand decision. I don't like it.
It's getting ridiculous, okay? So here's where the mirror turns to us. We love to scream queer baiting at a Harry Styles twirling a rainbow flag or at a Benson Boone flexing for Rolling Stone magazine. We decry gay for pay creators as opportunists, profiting off our culture without living it. Yet when Malik Delgado drops a new seed, we're not exactly boycotting man.com, are we? Our outrage is loud, but our consumption even louder, okay? And that's the hypocrisy we cannot escape. How dare we condemn the game when we're the ones keeping the scoreboard lit? This contradiction isn't just about individual weakness, it's a collective failure to interrogate our desires. Queerbaiting, at least.
And by the way, that argumentation, because you know how I made that video about Stephanie Lang? People were like, Brittany, like most people agreed with me, but some people were like, I think you missed the point of Stephanie's video. Yeah, but according to Stephanie's own fans who came to the video, and I didn't know this for sure, this is anecdotal. According to the comment section from Stephanie's fans, people said, well, Stephanie's the best person to talk about how plastic surgery is bad because she got it and she knows. And I was like, oh, so she got it, benefits from it, makes a living talking about it, and then condemns people for doing it, even though it obviously benefited her. It feels weird. It's, you know, it's one thing. Do you know talking about porn, you know the woman who coined like the deep throat move in porn? She eventually became very anti-porn. She spent her whole life talking about how it was destructive and abusive to her, which I agree. The industry abused the fuck out of that woman. I disagree that it was porn that ruined her life. I think it was the men who abused her. But I think she is more or less hypocritical. I think she's less hypocritical than Stephanie Lang in a sense. Because I don't know. I haven't found a video of Stephanie explicitly saying I've gotten plastic surgery just based off her fans' comments in my videos. They were saying, well, this is why Stephanie can speak from this experience. That's great. I'm not mad at Stephanie for getting plastic surgery. I just think it's just really weird to do something that benefits you and to play into, I don't know, I think the market in a sense. Like, look, if Stephanie showed up on videos and didn't, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't see confidence from Stephanie. I see like insecurity. It feels like she's just she hasn't worked out her own problems and she's taking it out on the audience. That's what it feels like. I feel like Stephanie hasn't worked out her own complex around beauty standards. And instead of actually making peace with it, she's trying to reassure women they don't need to adhere to them while actually like struggling to adhere to them herself. And I'm saying like, yeah, you need to work on that first. Because like, I don't know if that's really the conclusion you would come to if you were healed. Look, I'm telling you this. As a girly, her whole life, to this day, the people say, wow, if Brittany's up butt her face, like, I wish Brittany got plastic surgery. Brittany should get her nose done. I'm not getting my nose done. I just can't foresee a future where I get my nose done. It doesn't make any sense because I don't want to. I've already gone to the doctors. I've already thought about it. I don't want to do it. You know, you're not going to pressure me into doing it. It doesn't matter how much you say that I should. I'm not going to do it. But that doesn't mean there are other things I wouldn't mind getting that I think makes sense for who I am. And I wouldn't expect Stephanie to then sit there and be like, well, Brittany, it'd be so awful. You'd get rid of your XYZ, whatever the thing that makes you special. You know what makes me special? My fucking ideas, bitch. Not bitch to her, bitch in general. You know what makes me awesome? My ideas. My intellect. My aesthetic is just a cherry on top to my intellect. And I feel like it's really weird to sit there and tell women like you shouldn't feel pressured to get plastic surgery. Well, okay, at some point, it's just because like it's a vibe. It feels a little bit like your Catholic mom saying like, oh, don't change the way God made you. Don't do your eyebrows like that. Don't dress like that. Don't do your hair like that. Like, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'm tired about it, honestly. Some people are like, Brittany, changing your hair color is so different than getting plastic surgery. Obviously, guys. Obviously, it's different, but it's not so different. It's not actually so different. It just feels so different because you're making it out to be. It's something, but it's not that different. And by the way, a lot of people who get rhinoplasties do it when they're already going under the knife for a deviated septum or something. That's why I had a consultation with the doctor. Because like a lot of people I know go under for a medical reason, and then while they're down there, they're like, hey, you know what I mean? Make it happen. Two birds, one stone. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel like people people do a lot of things for the wrong reasons. It doesn't mean the thing they're doing is wrong. Maybe being gay for pay is wrong. But is it wrong, or is it just the way that they're doing it? Is that the wrong thing? I don't know if it's always wrong. Because survival sex workers, like, I'm not saying it's wrong to be gay for pay. I mean, all sex workers play a character, right? Like, they get on stream, they get on Chatterbait, they do whatever they're doing. They're obviously playing a character. They're not really a schoolgirl. They're not really a plumber. They're not really meeting with their doctor. Do you know what I'm saying? They're not really doing those things. So the question is, do we understand as an audience when someone's playing a role and when we're interacting with the person that they are? And I think because content creators, even porn stars, have started to blur the lines. It's like with actors. Oh my God. Ryan Reynolds fans are my favorite. Ryan Reynolds is so cool. He gets to play himself every day. He's so authentic. I've never seen men. Men are so... Y'all are so dumb. Like, you literally think Ryan Reynolds isn't playing a character? Oh my God, I wish I could be Ryan Reynolds. He's so cute. Like, what are you, fucking Cartman? What are you, 5? He's obviously playing a character. And, like, the audacity of being like, he's so authentic. Like, men fall for the fantasy of a movie star as much as anybody else. Man, I wish I was The Rock. He's so cool. I want to be 60 and have muscles. Y'all are the reason I think about grifting every day. I'm just kidding. I'm going to take the money. I'm going to take that. One day I'm going to wake up and just fucking, you know what I mean? Play a fucking character. Because Jesus, I could be fucking so rich. The way people just fucking eat that shit up, I don't even know. You know what? With peace and love. With peace and love, girl.
At least in the adult entertainment industry, this modern adult entertainment industry thrives because we, gay men, reward it. Gay for pay actors flourish because we pay them to. Every view, every subscription, every retweet is a vote for the system we claim to despise. We're mad at Malik for saying he's straight while pounding away on camera, but we're the ones making him a millionaire. We roll our eyes at Mario Adrian's coy flirtations, yet we tune into his videos.
True. The world is a reflection of ourselves. We make these people rich. Y'all, I can't believe you didn't make me rich yet. Honestly, I've been keeping up with Speed, and you know, I watched the beginning origins of his story because I was curious, but like I always feel like we kind of did good with Speed a little bit, even though he's so flawed and he's made mistakes. You know what I mean? Chat says, "Girl, I'm trying." Thank you. I appreciate you. Shout out to members who are steps away from making me rich. It's okay. My partner and I talk about all the ways we'll give our money to charity. I promise you, if I ever become a rich person, okay, I'm gonna be like Oprah. No, that's a bad example. I was gonna make a meme about you get a car, you get a car. No, the truth is that truthfully, I think if we learned anything about women going to space, it's how many people we could have fed with that money. But you know what I mean? You know, it is what it is. Rich people, Katy Perry has like 5 houses. What do you need 5 houses for, girl? You know what I mean? What do you need 5 houses for? It's so annoying. It's so annoying. There was what was that pastor's name whose son committed suicide? Kibi, thank you so much for the super chat. Kelly, thank you. Says, my bad. Here you go. Thank you. Let's fucking go. $5 closer to becoming rich, guys. We love to see it. Hey, every dollar counts. I really appreciate it. There's that guy who kept 10% of his income and gave away 90%. And I was like, yo, that's pretty Christian. Not that I'm saying it's reasonable in this economy, but I'm saying he was so rich, it made sense. If you're so rich that you can give away 90 and keep 10, that's a good way to do things. Okay? And if you're so poor that you can still give 10% of your income, that's beautiful. Look, I don't give 10% of my income to charity. I'll be so fucking for real. Like, I'm not at that stage where I can even, like, figure that out, a percentage. No way, girl. Like, I don't even have that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, we'd love to, and we're on a budget plan right now to get to that point. We want to get to a point as a family where we can give 10% of our income or 5% of our income or some percentage of our income to charity. And that's like our contribution in some capacity. We want to give gifts, donations in people's names. We want to be that family, but we also have to get to that point where we can afford it. Because remember, if you don't have stability, retirement, housing, don't give to charity. You are charity. The only time you can give to charity, if you can afford it, is when you can afford it. You got to fit it into your budget the same way you would McDonald's. Fit it into your budget. Okay? So sometimes like my partner does like a participation in like a gaming charity stuff. And so like they'll donate to like gamer charities where they support like, you know, Trevor projects and stuff. And that's great. We put that into, we can do that, right? You get a game, you get to go to charity. That's great. But like, we're not doing much more than that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's not in the budget just yet. But I hope so. Fingers crossed. You know what I mean? Oh my God, Cameron. Yes, $5. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you, girls. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
To hear more. The outrage feels performative when our wallets tell a different story. The exploitation isn't one-sided. It's a transaction that we are complicit in. So where do we go from here? The first step is honesty. The answer isn't to burn Delgatti scenes or cancel Mario Adrian's podcast and his YouTube channel. It's to interrogate ourselves. Why do we still pedestalize straightness in God's 2025 when queer visibility is higher than ever? When queer visibility is more important than ever? Gay men need to own our own role in this whole ecosystem, not as victims, but as active participants. We can't demand authenticity from gay for pay creators while simultaneously fetishizing their inauthenticity. If we're going to fund them, let's at least admit why. Because they scratch an itch we've been scratching since the days of gladiator sandals. Acknowledging the internalized homophobia at play doesn't mean shaming ourselves. It means dismantling the hierarchy that puts straightness on a pedestal. The second step is to...
Yeah, but then that's really going to fuck with our bag, let me tell you. But would it really do anything when we love the taboo? Because how much of this actually is just connected to our love for the taboo? I feel like that's ultimately what it is. It's that deep, deep connection to like, we're not supposed to be doing it, but we're doing it anyways. And I think that's day one universal. I think that's just people. That's our nature. We evolved to love the taboo. You know what I mean? So like, even if we deconstructed this on a group community level, a new baby's born every day who are going to rebel against their bubbles and seek out the taboo because they're born into, I mean, the moment you're born into a religious bubble, girl, that is the recipe for a taboo interest. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't know if it's about decentering straightness or deconstructing it. I think the question is deeper. What does it say about human nature and our evolution that we love the thrill of the thing we're not supposed to be doing, so we do it anyways? That's why rich people, when they get bored, they get crazy. They do crazy fucking shit because you're like, man, you must be really bored. And they are. Rich people with no like spiritual awareness, that's why they use their money to be weird, like chasing people and torturing people and weird shit. You know what I mean?
To redefining our desires, queer culture has the power to celebrate its own icons. Gay men who do not need a straight veneer to be sexy, to be masculine, to be compelling. For every Delgatti, there's a Kate Maddox. Okay, and I'm a Kate Maddox girlie myself. Performers who own their queerness unapologetically. We do not need straight men to validate us. We've got plenty of our own talent to stand, okay? Shifting our gaze, and most importantly, shifting our dollars, could starve this gay for pay machine of oxygen, forcing it to either evolve or fade. And I'm rather a fan of the latter, if you ask me, okay? And finally, let's stop clutching our pearls and start clutching our agency. If we're going to enjoy Malik Delgatti's hardcore scenes, or Mario Adrian's cheeky banter, or Timothy Champagne's whatever he's doing, because that Twitter and OnlyFans look rough, okay?
It's because his face, it's because he looks like, yeah, his body's nice and everything, but his face is giving something. He's making $55K a month. Who am I to talk? You know what I mean? But also the fact that he used Timothy Chalamet's name, so Champagne, to even boost his platform is also a part of this branding. Because remember, he's utilizing that association with the actor to also boost prominence.
Let's do it with our eyes open, knowing it's a transaction, not a betrayal. Anger at queer baiters and gay for pay creators is misplaced when we're the ones signing the checks. The power to change this dynamic isn't in their hands, it's in ours. It's really in our hands, okay? In conclusion, we cannot be angry at the players when we're the ones funding the game. It's time to look in the mirror, reckon with our desires, and decide what kind of queer culture we want to build. One that gravels for straight scraps, or one that stands tall on its own fabulous terms. The choice, like the cash, because all gay men have real money, okay, is ours. And that is it for this week's video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. There's many.
Loved this video. Thank you, Discord, for recommending it. I'm going to go ahead and link it in the chat. Get in the chat. Yeah, very interesting. Let's see what the comments say. The fact that Timothy Champagne is still making money after all his shenanigans is mind-blowing. What'd he do? 50K a month is insane, and he still has gay men flooding his comments with thirsty comments. Oh, because he's straight or whatever. Right? And still complaining, girl, it's ridiculous. Why is it mind-blowing? He makes good content at the end of the day. That's what it's really about. Let's see. Expecting realness in porn is like being angry that Hugh Jackman is not actually an immortal mutant with a metal skeleton. It's not real. Remembering how one content creator said about regretting coming out as gay because he could be making more money pretending to be gay. Ooh, that's funny. This is like the guys who complain about women doing OnlyFans, and then these men find these same women's OnlyFans careers. Oh, fund these careers. Yeah, that is sort of the interesting part too. Is like, are you complaining? What is the complaint really about? You know, that's the question. Are we complaining that it's set up this way? Are we complaining that we're falling for it? Are we complaining that we'd like other options? Don't hate the player, hate the game, as they say. You know? Yeah, I can't say that I'm upset about it, but I can say that, you know, I can't tell, guys, is this autism or is this morals? I can't tell. I really struggle to sensationalize my life, to pretend like it's that big of a deal, or to be like, oh yeah, guys, do you know that I'm pansexual and I've been spanked and I've had a threesome? I should remake all my videos and be like, what it's like actually having a threesome. But see, I can't sensationalize it like, ooh, you know, but that's what they want. They want you. That's why when you talk to like a Tucker Carlson and his stupid face goes, you had a threesome? So like your partner watched you have sex with other people? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, dude, it's not that deep, you know? But like, man, if you want to make money, you present it. That's why when you go on like a late night show and a celebrity one time knew one dominatrix sort of, and they were like, oh my God, what was it like? And they're like, yeah, I went down to this New York basement and a woman in all leather spanked me. And they're like, oh, but then if you're like, oh yeah, I do this like every Saturday, now it's not fun because now it's not taboo. Now it's not a normal person having a crazy, you know, event happen in their life. It's just some weirdos every Saturday. Like everybody makes it so, you dress up and wear a tail, but the moment you see a furry, it's like, okay, you know what I mean? They don't actually want you to, you know, they don't want you to actually do the thing. They want you to be a person who's normal, who participate in the thing temporarily. You know, what are you gonna do? Okay. Let's see. Discord said, question, is it okay to be gay for pay? Yeah, I think it is okay to be gay for pay. Depending on the context. If so, is it okay to pretend to be a demographic you aren't to make money? Like white people who pretend to be Asian to sell books. Or those cis women who made money pretending to be trans or blackfishing. Ooh, wait. I want to make it clear. I think it is wrong to say you're gay when you're not. Well, okay. If we are considering this topic only through the lens of capitalism, I think it is unethical to represent yourself in a way that is dishonest when stated as a fact, but less dishonest when stated as a marketing decision that has an implication, like it implies something, but doesn't outright say it maybe. But then I do find you questionable as a person for engaging in the behavior. So do you know what I'm saying? Like from a marketing capitalistic standpoint, I can see why you would do it. But from an ethics perspective, like, yeah, I do think there's something really wrong with that. Like, I think it is wrong that people utilize. Yeah, I do struggle. Like white girls that utilize or capitalize on Black culture in order to you know, I don't know, get famous because people think it's weird to watch white people try to quote be Black, whatever that means. You know what I mean? So then that I'm pissed about that because that's annoying to me. But then if they feel like that's really their life or that's where they come from, like, okay, I don't know what that means. And then Ariana Grande pisses me off all the time because I was like, girl, pick a race and stick to one. So then I'm like annoyed with it. So yeah, I do personally think it's unethical. I'm not sure it's the biggest problem in the universe, but I think spiritually it'd probably be pretty bad for the person doing it. Like, I can't imagine it being healthy for the person doing it. Like, I don't think it's healthy that Ariana has played different races. I feel like it must be exhausting to her. I mean, it works. It makes money. People love being angry, but it can't be good for her. So then the question is it unethical for society? Can be. Is it immoral for you? Probably. Depends on your values. I just reviewed in BoJack Horseman, I just reviewed the abortion episode where Sextina basically pretends to have an abortion because Diane accidentally tweeted out, "I'm having an abortion." Okay, so if you haven't watched BoJack, I just reviewed that episode. Great episode. But from a marketing standpoint, wow. Right? From an ethics standpoint or a moral standpoint, I think the point of that episode was to say it's not black and white. But the point of that episode was also to point out, like, it depends on what your goal is. And so Princess Caroline basically says, like, we're in a specific industry. We are trying to make these people money and famous. That's our goal. Okay? And if that's not the game you want to play, then you're in the wrong job type thing. And that's also a part of it. Right? You know? Yeah, I think that is something. Yeah, I obviously haven't. I can't do it in my own personal life, right? Like, obviously I don't. I literally don't do it. My whole YouTube channel is proof of that. You know how many things I could sensationalize? I really love figuring out ways to do it that feels ethical, but all of it feels like fake in a way. Like, I don't really care. Like, I think you'd also have to care in a sense. Like, you'd have to put some emphasis on pretending to care. Like, you know, Ethan, do you know why I think he might be genuine? Is because I actually think he cares. But if somebody was grifting, like Blair White does this. Blair White will pretend to be outraged over something for views. I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they fired my boyfriend when he's dating a trans woman because they say he's transphobic. And her boyfriend will get on there and be like, I can't believe they fired me when I'm dating a trans woman. And I'm like, you are so making this, like, you know why you were, you know what I mean? But then I feel like Ethan is really having like a mental, like a impact. Like, he's really feeling like he's fighting Satan right now. And I don't think it's a grift, but I think it's crazy. You know what I mean? And then I think there's just people that are like, oh, hey, what are you going to do? Like, most normal people in look, do you know how I could have milked the Destiny situation? Do you understand that? Do people understand how much money I could have made if I milked the fuck out of that situation and kept a war going with him for like 2 years? Oh my God, I could have made so much money. I could have made, and we talked about it as a family. I was like, I could make so much money just complaining about Destiny for the next year and showing all the ways he's an asshole. But it didn't feel good. It didn't feel ethical. It didn't feel moral to engage in drama in that way. It didn't feel good for my mental health. It didn't feel good for my community health. But oh my God, I could have made so much money. And by the way, one of the reasons I didn't do it, and that's why it was so annoying too, when some YouTubers reviewed my official video I made about his misogyny and were like, Brittany's always talking about Destiny. Do you think the few times I've mentioned him on stream was me talking about him? That's the thing that pisses me off. I cannot believe these people don't even understand the way I could have milked it. You know? I can't believe that. Like, they thought me mentioning him on stream, even right now, they're like, see, she's always talking about him. This is nothing, girl. I could have made dedicated streams. I could have gone through all of his content. I could have used other YouTubers and been like, let's take Destiny down. I could have done so much. Do you know what I'm saying? You know? It's just like so interesting the way people perceive things. I think some people would have preferred it, honestly. Let's see, Discord said, am I the only one that thinks you cannot have sex with people on camera multiple times and not be attracted to them? Gay for pay? You mean monetize your bisexuality? Yeah, I don't believe that. I think you can have sex with people you're not attracted to in any capacity, gender-wise or otherwise. I also think, like, it's fluid. Like, a lot of people can have sex with the same sex, but, like, never want to be with them. Like, have you never had sex with somebody that you, like, weren't that into, but, like, it was something? Like, the person. I think gender's the same way. Like, I think you can have sex with people you're not into, regardless of their gender. And it's like, you ever heard of, like, sex workers do it all the time. You think sex workers aren't having sex with people they're not attracted to? I'm just confused. Like, what do you think they're doing? It just feels like a little bit when men think women having sex with them is because they're attracted to them. It's like, sometimes you're just paying my bills. You know? It just doesn't make sense. Like I maybe unless like you've never had sex with somebody you're not attracted to some extent. Like, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. You ever eaten food you're not really into, but you pretend it's good? You know what I mean? I fake loving people's food all the time. Oh my God, that's so good. Thank you for sharing. Because, like, you don't want to be rude, but like, oh, but you know what? That has got, I noticed that gets me into trouble actually. That's so funny. I actually have a Destiny story about this, but like, I don't know if it's worth telling you guys. It was so funny though. It got me into social trouble because, you know how you're taught, like when someone feeds you, never complain? I'm happy with anything. Like, I'm good with food. Like, I'm good with things. Okay, I'll tell you this story as an example. We were in Miami the one time I met everybody, okay? I was in Miami and we had a great time. And Destiny was a good host, okay? He paid for dinner, I paid for dinner. Like, we were all very nice to each other. It was a good situation. It was like weird though. There were weird social moments that I was confused by, right? An example, we went out to dinner, which was a shit show that appeared good. And the reason I say it's shit show, because the details would, girl, okay, it was a shit show, but it appeared good. The food was okay-ish. It was one of those barbecue steak places where they walk around and serve you meat on your plate. Have you ever been to those? Have you ever been to those places? They're okay. They're usually overpriced and it's usually fun, but I'd rather have In-N-Out, right? Like it's cool. It's a good experience. It's good. If somebody said, was it good? I'd say, yeah, it was good. But later in the weekend, they said, oh, should we go back to that restaurant? I was like, no. And they're like, wait, what? I thought you said it was good. I was like, yeah, but it's not like worth it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not worth it to go again. I'd rather just go somewhere cheaper, like McDonald's or something, like literally. And they're like, wait, you'd rather have fast food than this Brazilian place or whatever it's called, this meat place. And I said, well, it's not, kinda. Because like, it's like $55 or whatever it is for like meat I could have barbecued at home better. And I wasn't even paying. It wasn't even about me paying. It was about the principle of the matter. Whether I was paying or not, it's like, I don't want to do that. And like, I realized it got me into a pickle when I would say things like, oh yeah, I really loved it. Thank you for taking me there. Like, what a great gesture. Because I did mean, thank you for taking me there. That was so sweet. But it did mean I wanted to go again. And I think people, like, I don't always know how to socialize in those situations where people are trying to figure out what I like. But like, I'm a simple girly. Take me home and like, I can make dinner for my, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always forget, like, what is the social script? And like, what am I supposed to say? Like, I'm a grateful girly. I'm grateful for whatever people do always, almost every moment. But that doesn't mean I like it or would want to repeat it. But I try very hard. Actually, I talked to my partner about this the other day. I actually think my high masking, the reason I think most people didn't think of me as like autistic or is because all of my life I've been incredibly grateful for everything that's happened to me in any capacity it's happened to me in. But now that I'm an adult and I have choices, I'm not repeating some of the choices that like happened when I was younger. And people are like, oh, I thought you liked that though. I only liked it at the time because I was grateful for even having anything. But now that I have choices, yeah, now I actually want to do what I want to do. I actually want to engage in the world the way I want to engage in the world because I have options now. And they're like, oh, what? And I was like, yeah. So now I look like a completely different person to people because they're like, oh my God, you're acting like pretty different from where you were in your 20s. Yeah, but in my 20s, I had like no money in my bank account. I couldn't even pay rent on time. I was literally self-suicidal. I was literally self-harming. I was literally like in a horrible situation in my life. I would have been grateful if you gave me fucking food out of a trash can. I would have eaten it. You know what I mean? Like I definitely was one of those people that would get furniture from the side of the road, any opportunity I could, because I couldn't afford furniture. I don't do that anymore. I don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, in my 20s, I was happy for anything people could give me because I couldn't afford anything. So, yeah. But now, where I am now at this age with, you know, my level of income, it's a little bit better where now we're on a budget and now I don't need furniture from the side of the road. I will still take hand-me-down clothes though. My mother-in-law has given me a lot of clothes and I love them. But yeah, I think people forget like when to socially say I loved this thing and when people are taking notes of when to do it later for you. But it's like, it's how do you say thank you for this opportunity? It was so much fun without saying I also want to do it next time. Do you know what I mean? Like I was the one and done. Thank you for this opportunity. I don't want to do it again. And they're gonna be like, oh, so you didn't have a good time? It's like, no, I had a good time. I just don't want to do it again. Okay, but you said you had a nice time, so that means you want to do it again. It's like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? Tess says there's some great furniture at the side of the road sometimes. Just saying, no. Let me rephrase my story. There's a difference between antiquing or finding cool furniture on the side of the road because you can afford to clean it, prep it, put it in your house, and the difference between me picking up anything I saw because I didn't have any money for anything that I needed. That I would bring things home that I didn't even know what to do with it, but just having it, I mean, I'm talking like mini hoarder status. So scared of having like no access to any option that I would take anything someone gave me in case I could use it later. You know what I mean? Very different. Do not recommend that state of life. You know what I mean? Never picked up mattresses though, because nobody needs bed bugs in the house. You know what I mean? Nobody needs that in the house. But good news, never had bed bugs, which is nice. Okay, all of this to say, I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had, but sometimes I really don't ever want to do it again. You know, let me tell you. Okay, yeah, scarcity mindset. Ugh, my 20s, my early 20s especially, all about that scarcity mindset, let me tell you. Fear. I was so afraid of everything. Fear, I was afraid and I was reckless. You know, I was afraid and I looked fearless. Everyone thought, oh, Brittany's so unafraid. She moved to a city she didn't know. She was making new friends with people. She was starting her life. I was terrified. But I was grasping at any possibility that my life could be meaningful and I would stay alive for it. I was looking for any reason to stay alive. But man, from the outside, it really looked like Brittany was fearless and excited for her life. And that's all a part of the mask, right? That's all part of the mask. All right, let's finish out stream with this video. I'm excited to watch. Thank you, Discord, for recommending it. Sex workers discuss the ins and outs of the industry. I have a feeling it's going to be good. Dignified, if you will. Let's go ahead and give it a watch.
And I said, there is no amount of money that you could pay me to but if I had done it and done it well, I could have progressed to a horse, you know. How?
How's that volume? Is it crazy?
And I said, there is no amount of money that you could pay me to but if I had done it and done it well, I could have progressed to a horse, you know. How?
I love how off topic you go. It's just gold.
Well, actually, kind of relate to that.
What? Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Eva O, and I currently work as a dominatrix. I used to be an escort in brothels, in massage parlors, and I've been doing all of this for over 10 years now.
My name's Danny D. I'm an adult performer. I've been working in the industry since I was 18. I'm 33 now, so 35 now,
Wow.
so yeah, enjoying the adult industry.
Hi, I'm Caroline B. I'm 70 now, and I'm an escort. I've been doing it since 2017. Absolutely love it. I wish I'd started it sooner, actually.
Wow, she's late to the game, but interesting. I would love to hear more about that story, like doing it later in life and stuff. I do have a dream of being an old naked lady on the internet. I think that's really a dream of mine. There's something about that just feels very important, you know?
But Olivia, I do OnlyFans. I basically started the day I turned 18. I just kind of do like amateur content.
I'm Mercedes. I started working as a stripper in 2021, and now I'm 22 and I started OnlyFans. So
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. My name's Kamal Baba. I started OnlyFans about a year ago, and I'm gay. So yeah.
Love it.
Shall we start with me saying the statements and just getting you to kind of chat about it? Most sex workers lie or don't tell their friends and family about what they do.
I didn't tell my family for about 7 years, and around the point where I thought I was going to tell them, I prepped myself for being disowned. But luckily, my mother, who's the most important to me, took about a month to let it settle, and then she came back to me with questions like, what are the client's motivations? What does that interaction look like? Like, what is your motivation? She really wanted to understand it. So I think I really underestimated her. When I first started, I didn't tell anybody when I met them. Now I just tell people from the get-go, just like, get it out of the way. And then usually.
This is a good first date question. Like, if you're courting, not if you're casually dating, okay? But if you're courting, like, obviously that's something I talk to my partner about. I want sex positive partner. I want to be with somebody that feels very neutral about sex work or doesn't feel in any way threatened by it in the relationship. Like, I don't, when you hear those conversations, like, how does your partner feel that you have an OF? That's not I don't want to marry somebody or do a life with somebody where that conversation has to be had. Like, how am I going to feel when people find out my wife is on OnlyFans? It's like, I don't want to have that conversation. I want you to feel indifferent about it, no matter who finds out. You know what I mean? Funny enough, my partner, when I was courting them and we were dating, they were like, oh yeah, I told my parents about your YouTube channel and your OnlyFans, so they know what's up. And I was like, you told your parents? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I really married into like a very liberal, chill family. You know what I mean? Versus my family, we don't talk about it. They know about it, but we don't talk about it. I mean, I come from a family where my parents are still begging us to have children, and I don't answer their phone calls for 2 weeks until they get it through their head to stop bringing it up. Just kidding. I always pick up the phone if my mom calls. That's a joke. But I also don't go out of my way to message them until they get it through their head. The road to hell is paved in good intentions, and y'all got to stop telling people to have kids.
It's this huge load of questions about the job. They're fascinated by it more than anything else these days. Do most people not tell the people in their lives? I find that can be the case when you're first starting out, for sure, because there's still a lot of stigma around it, even if it's decriminalized in certain places. But hopefully that shifts.
Well, I think it's the same with the swinging, which is where I first started.
Oh.
Is that my family found out by seeing things online. To this day, I still don't know how much they know. But whatever it is, they don't approve, obviously. So that was the family, so we haven't spoken since, which is fine by me. My friends, I have a small group of friends who I have told, and they fully support me, and they love me, and they get excited with me telling them stories, whatever.
I feel like it just takes educating people, because my parents didn't know shit about what I did, and they have so many, because of the stigma and what they think it's like, they have so many misconceptions and preconceptions about what it's going to be. But if you inform them over time and not just dump it on them, because I had a very specific plan. I informed my parents for a whole year, and I drip fed them info, and it's just the ignorance that they have about it that makes them scared and makes them think, oh, that's a really dangerous thing, how naughty you shouldn't be doing.
And this is why ignorance is truly dangerous, because ignorance keeps you in the dark. And then your imagination is scarier than reality. And so you start to come up with all of these horrible reasons and all these possible scary things that could happen. And then you deny people the right to live how they want because it's so scary in your own imagination. There's a risk to everything that we do. But at the end of the day, it's not as risky as your imagination unless you believe it is. It's only risky because of the bad people participating in it. If we had a dignified society that deconstructed misogyny and really respected people for their choice, we would have a lot less fears around these issues. But because we allow and uplift misogyny, because we make excuses for people's abusive behavior, because we demonize and demoralize sex workers, we are afraid that the people in our life are going to get hurt by the same communities that we keep uplifting and justifying, well, look what she was wearing. Look at her industry. Look at the way you've mistreated your own body. So of course somebody's going to mistreat you. It's it's the same reason conservatives are so afraid of trans women. You raised me my whole life. I was raised in a bubble my whole life that we should be afraid of men and that men are predators. And I know what men think, all men think this way. All men are this, you know what I mean? Most men are whatever they would say, right? And that's why they're afraid of trans women, because they think they're men. And so you're not afraid of trans people. You're afraid of men. It sounds so redundant and stupid, but it literally is the math that they can't then understand. They can't understand that the reason feminists often came from conservative households and they grew up hating men was because the same conservatives that raised them gave them every reason to think men were the problem. Now, I don't think men are inherently the problem, but I think the way men are raised and their misogyny is upheld becomes a problem, and not just our problem, it becomes a problem for men. Men suffer because of misogyny. They just don't know it.
doing that. But now that they actually know the ins and outs and I've educated them on it, they're bloody fine with it. And they're Catholic doctors, like they're strict.
My mother's a Bible school teacher.
Is she? It just takes like telling them the ins and outs. Like, I am safe. It's okay. This is how it works. And then they'll be more understanding. I know some people you can't change, but like it just takes some education because they just don't know.
When I first started, I was like still in my last year of school because in Ireland we only leave school at like 18. So I was 18 and like this is a proper Christian school. Like, but I didn't want to waste any time. I just wanted to get cracking on it. Like I've been waiting ages to start one. So, and all my friends, like I'd hear people talking about like OnlyFans and how they didn't approve of it, and I was just like, here with my secret account, I was going, like it's gonna be so awkward when people find out. And I wasn't telling my mum or any of that, but I used to do my messages on like the family laptop. Like I don't know what I was thinking. Obviously one day I forgot to log out, so my mum just goes onto the laptop to see, and she's like, oh, like what the is this? And when she said it, she was like, she saw everything. Like I left my homepage up, and I posted pretty much everything on the feed, so she could just see. Oh God, it was just, and then she just came to me and I was like, yeah, not gonna lie, I'm doing this now. And she went like mad, went ballistic. Obviously it took her a few months, but like she came around, and now, as you're saying, as long as you're safe, like it doesn't really matter. All my friends back in Ireland like didn't agree with that at all. But when I moved to the UK, then it's just mad how open-minded everyone is here. So much more normal. Like no one really did it back in Ireland at the time, so like everyone would just look down at me basically. But yeah, it's just nice here. No one really cares. So yeah.
Well, I still haven't told my family. I haven't told my family. I think with me, like I know my family wouldn't accept me as being gay anyway, so I was like, well, my life is kind of difficult.
See, it's different when you already know your family's not going to accept you being gay. Like you think they're going to accept you being a sex worker. Some families might. Some families might actually prefer a sex worker over a gay kid. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
In itself, like I'm pretty much 80% sure I would be disowned. So I said to myself, well, if I really only gonna have myself, because for me, I wouldn't want to like, I guess why I'm doing this interview is like, I wouldn't want to sit somewhere and be around people who really don't love me for the real me. And I guess they never really got to know the real me because I never like told them of this. After this, I'm sure I have to tell them, right? But for me, it's like, I'm gonna be disowned anyway. I was like, let me look at my like options in life, what I want to do, how I want to go about it. So I was like, I'm definitely doing OnlyFans. Like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna stop myself from doing it just because like family members and like friends, for example, which I've lost like friends and family over and stuff. But I'm not gonna let that get in the way of me like doing what I want to do because I know this is something.
Wait, Chet says I'm having a hard time not being worried about this young woman. Any thoughts? Which one? The Irish one or the stripper one?
I wanted to do for a while. I think back in 2020 I did it for a month and I saw how much money I made in that 1 month, but then I chickened out because there's a lot of pressure, especially being a South Asian gay guy and then my family's Muslim. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, but you just gotta have the balls to do it really at the end of the day. And yeah, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I made my choices. And I wouldn't be here if I wasn't like comfortable and proud of like what I do. And
when I first got into porn, I told my mum straight away, told my dad, etc. And everyone was kind of supportive and accepting. My mum's been to Las Vegas to the Porn Awards several times and she fully embraces it. And yeah, so in terms of that, I've been incredibly lucky.
The next one I was going to say is it's hard to maintain a romantic relationship as a sex worker.
Yeah, I think it's very like, it would take a very strong man that's not insecure to.
Oh, I see. Chat says 18 is just so young and wanting to start an OnlyFans feels bad. How much can you really know about what you're getting into at 18? I think there's a reason to feel concerned. I mean, the guy got into it at 18. He's still in it at 35. I think it's fair to ask how much does an 18-year-old know about their life when it comes to taking out school loans, getting a tattoo, joining the military, doing porn. Yeah, I think it's fine to be concerned. I think it's wrong to think that they're not allowed to do it. I think it's okay to be concerned though. And I think there's a conversation to be had about it. Here's the biggest piece of advice I would give a young person who wants to do something that might be something they could regret later is there will be a later, but the regret doesn't have to ruin your life. But there will be consequences. And so as long as you prepare for them, you know, that's the thought that I would have. I would also say the only thing that I would go back and change about my life, I mean, there's so much, but the one thing that I would actually go back and change is honestly, like probably how I branded myself or my experience on the internet. Like I think a lot of YouTubers did raise themselves on the internet, but not all of them were as directionless as I was. Like I lacked direction in my content the same way I lacked direction in my life. I don't think a lot of YouTubers were doing that. Tyler Oakley and all these other people, they didn't lack direction. They were going to college. They knew their life. They had good family relationships. Rent Link and all these other people, they had direction. I had no direction. And that was like the biggest block to my career, to everything I was doing. And I think if you're 18, have a sense of direction where you're going, even if it's just for a couple years. So if you join the military, know why you're joining the military and have it be a part of a larger plan. If you're doing OnlyFans, have a sense of direction. If you're doing content creation, have a sense of direction if you can, if it's possible. I was too suicidal to have a sense of direction, genuinely. So I struggled with like knowing why I was there. I was just doing everything because I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to be alive, let alone, what I was doing. So that's the only thing that I would recommend, right? Yeah. Chet says, totally, I'm just worried about all young laborers. Like sex work feels so just as dangerous as working at a shitty restaurant that you get harassed at or get a long-term hand-arm pain from. I mean, at some point, like, we have to accept that, okay, I'm going to have a zoom out now. All of us are forced into existence on a planet that is full of billions of people, and we will all have to do labor that in some way is harmful to us. Nobody gets to exist in the world and not have some level of harm come to them, or they themselves create that harm. So we need to zoom out and remember that. It doesn't, like, at some point, you want to be a part of civilization, you have to contribute. And that contribution looks different, but we don't live in like some utopia, which by the way is like a myth, right? Utopia is like a dream. That's what the word means. It means something that can never be. So it doesn't matter to me if you go to McDonald's and feel undignified, or if you do sex work and feel undignified. What matters to me is that you understand that like you're an animal on a planet evolved over time. Build a construct that makes sense for you. But people, that's why people have midlife crises, right? Like people have a midlife crisis realizing like I've been slaving away at this job where no one respects me. I want you to have that at 18 than at 50, right? But nothing comes without labor. Nothing comes without work. OnlyFans is not your meal ticket. All these people that are like, I made so much money out the gate, it won't stay unless you keep making it stay. Nothing. That's why like there's one bubble where they tell you content creation is a 7-year plan. There's another bubble where they tell you it's forever, but you got to market yourself the right way. There's another bubble where they tell you you're a one-hit wonder, you have 15 minutes and you're out. Like you have to know which one you're in. So you might start an OnlyFans and you might make $1,000 one month and think it's only going to go up from there. It's probably going to go down. These people who are making $55K a month, they're not the average. They're not the average. The average person is making like $50 on OnlyFans every month. You have to have a place that you can, create. I assume these people have Instagrams. I'm assuming they're Instagrams where they have YouTube channels or they have a TikTok, and that's moving people towards their OnlyFans because you can't promote OnlyFans anywhere. It's too risky. So OnlyFans is a place where you supply an ultimate product in which you have to make your customer take they have to click on your social media, click on a link to your OnlyFans, sign up for OnlyFans, put in their payment card, and then they might decide to pay for your OnlyFans. There's like 5 fucking steps before you get paid, possibly as an OnlyFans content creator. Then OnlyFans takes their 20% and the US government or your government takes 20% or whatever it is. So the dream we send to people like OnlyFans is easy. The easiest way to get paid is to go get a job at a McDonald's because they have to legally pay you for your labor. The potential of money you can make is huge on OnlyFans if you go all in and you create sensationalism around your name and you boost numbers. But it is certainly not easy. And the same with content creation is not easy because no one is obligated to pay you. We have to remember this, and I think people don't know this. They're not obligated to pay you. Nobody is. You can build a YouTube channel that doesn't get monetized. You actually have to bring in monetization. You have to hit the right amount of viewer numbers. Like you have to create a situation where Google will pay you. On average, like smaller YouTube channels can make anywhere from, $10, well, $2 to $10 to $50 to $500. But on average, like people aren't making the money people think you are, Yeah, Chet says you got to love the game you're playing. That's why some people say you better love the game you're playing because there are going to be years where you have no money. I mean, you can have a successful business. I mean, even my dad's own business had years where there was no income because the market took a dip and he's in a certain kind of industry that's impacted heavily by the economy. Like you have to understand no matter the job you're in, you better be dedicated to that job, right? And make it through those very hard years where there's no money coming in so you can get to the other side. But like no industry is guaranteed. No job you do is guaranteed. The military is certainly not the payout people think it is. You know, like everyone, I think, be realistic about whatever industry you're in, and I think you'll be better off, no matter what it is. Be very realistic, and then shoot for the stars, but be very realistic, because there's a reason why it's rare to be the 1%. You know, be average you'll be average at best, and that can be okay as long as you understand that still means like you have a budget that's like very particular. I think people really underestimate like how many people have money around the world where they don't have to think about their money. You would have to make a lot of money to not think about money. And even people who have a lot of money, all they're thinking about is money. Kind of the irony.
To like be able to be okay with their girlfriend literally doing all this online, because, well, from my personal experience, it's like I've had guys, you know, their friends would like slag them and they get a hard time, like, oh, your girlfriend's off doing this and that.
I think it's important to be honest with yourself and with your partner, and find someone who understands you as a person. At the end of the day, we do this because we love it. No one's forced us or coerced us to be here, and it's something that's a part of us. And I think if you can be honest with your partner and communicate that this is you, if it's the right person for you, again, we're not saying it's easy. It's definitely a very challenging.
But it's not any harder than anyone else. It is just as hard to find a high compatibility partner as a sex worker or as a disabled person than it is when you're anybody else. Because if you're looking for your high compatibility partner, everyone's looking for a very rare thing. If you're just looking to settle and end up with somebody who makes you feel like you're loved, sure, it might be harder as a sex worker. But realistically, if you're looking for a high compatibility partner, I am not convinced that you are less likely to find that person than anybody else, unless you are in a very unique situation, like in a coma. If you're in a coma, that might be a problem. You know, that might be a problem. But like otherwise, But that's what people aren't looking for. So yeah, like that idea of like, oh, but they might not date you if you're a sex worker. They might not date you because you're not 6 feet. They might not date you because you're too brown. They might not date you because you're too fat. They might not date you XYZ. They're not your person.
Tasked to love someone in the adult industry and be with them, but it can be fruitful if you find the right person, but I would definitely agree it's not an easy thing to achieve.
I think there's a part of it that makes it not easy, and that society makes it difficult for them. But I think that people, like sex workers who are dealing with people all the time, we have a lot of skills that a lot of other people don't. I kind of feel like I just tell people I'm a sex worker, and if you're not going to take that, there's like a really good filter to just push you aside.
I think we can't be blind to the fact that things change. The day that you meet someone, you may say, hey, I'm a sex worker, I'm a porn star, an OnlyFans girl, whatever it may be. And day one, someone may be fully okay with that, and they might be open with it. But unfortunately, things change. And when you fall in love, if you can hit these markers, you know, the 6 months, the 12 months, the 18 months, they're big steps in a relationship.
They don't seem to be able to recognise the difference between like you and your job or you as a person. And I always say that it's the same as like if you go to Disneyland and you see Cinderella and they're like, you know, that's the real Cinderella. It's not an actress, it's the one. And that's what it's like with yourself, and it's like, come on, it's a job. It's not like the whole of you. There's more to you than just your job.
Sex work has a shelf life.
Hell no.
Sex work has
a shelf life.
Oh. A what?
I feel I get better. I feel that my skill set grows, you know?
I'm going to say this with peace and love. When you're young, the advantage you have as a sex worker when you're young is aesthetic. The advantage you have when you're older as a sex worker is wisdom. Like in any job, youth is not helpful because it's wise. It's helpful because people are horny and you look good. But later on, it's about strategy. And there is a junction in which when you're young and when you're old, you benefit the most. And when you're in the middle, it's actually kind of hard because you're transitioning into stages. But I will say this about any job or any part of my, like, I am better off every year I get older. I do better with everything in my life as I get older. I look better. I make more money. Life is better. Like, this illusion that youth is good, youth is temporary and it is good temporarily. But the reason young people often end up poor by the time they're 40 or 50 is because they didn't have the wisdom to take it into their elder years. Like, I mean, I was certainly a young person who didn't know how to save money. I made so much money when I was younger, like enough money over the years, like give or take the year, of course. Some years I made no money and some years I made more money, but I never had the wisdom to save that money, but I just didn't have millions. Because what you think is, well, if I make millions, it'll be easy to save. Billionaires go broke every day in this country, in America. People who win the lottery go broke every day. Celebrities who become celebrities go broke every day because we aren't taught to be good with money. We aren't taught to look for the future. So there is no shelf life to sex work. There is a shelf life to your ability to market yourself and gain an audience. And that's really the difference. That's why half this job is marketing. Social media, half of it is just marketing. It's not even creating content, it's marketing. And that's the hard part about content creation or OnlyFans. You can't just show up to your OnlyFans and be like, someone's going to walk through the door. Having an OnlyFans without a social media, like Instagram or something, is like having a coffee shop that's behind a brick wall and no one can find the door. The Instagram creates the door that lets people into the shop. But without that Instagram, there's no point to having an OnlyFans. Or without some social media that brings people into it, because they can't find it. You can't find it, you know?
And you learn more about how people are, and you take that and you get more successful faster when it comes to particular clients, and your skills just get better. So I don't really see the validity of that. And there's always a market for all sorts of different looks, all sorts of different ages, all sorts of different approaches. There's literally a market for pretty much anything.
Yeah. I know escorts that are 85 and still doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to do it when I'm 100 if I get that far. Why not? If you're fit and you're able and people
Well, I
want
guess
it.
there is a physical aspect sometimes.
Well, this is it. Yeah. I mean, as long as I've still got my marbles and, you know, I can do the necessary, then why not?
See, thinking from a guy's perspective and from what I do, I mean, there is kind of a shelf life on what I do. Obviously, if my winky doesn't work, then I can't work. But as far as in terms of a shelf life, like you said, there is a niche for everything. Personally, if that will me out at 85, I'll be happy as Larry to keep going. But you know, I'm not blind to the fact that there is a kind of a shelf life for me anyway. But as adult or sex work as a whole, I believe, like you said, there is a niche for everything, and it doesn't necessarily mean the curtains close at 40, 50, 60 or whatever. I think you can adapt in this industry and change.
Yeah, it's a question I get all the time, like, oh, what are you going to do when you're old? Like, just be a MILF. And then,
Yeah.
I'm just been inspired here. Like,
You'll be 24 soon, then you're a MILF, don't worry.
Do you think that more people actually pay for sex, more people watch porn, more people have connection to the sex industry in any of those ways than they admit?
For sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
People definitely pay for porn, pay for sex workers, whatever it may be.
I watched a woman on TikTok who said she works at a bank, and she said that, you know, she can see the transactions. And she said when guys call in for fraud, she always thinks it's like the OnlyFans. So they go, no, I meant to do that. The other things are fraud. And she's like, you've spent this much money on OnlyFans? Now look, I think she was meaning it in a judgmental way. Spend money on OnlyFans. That's great. Great for me, great for you, great for content creators. Because remember, there are people who think it's crazy to send streamers money, right? Like these aren't the people, right? The people who are going to judge you for sending a streamer you watch a super chat or buying OnlyFans, like they're in a completely different bubble. I couldn't even imagine the idea. Like people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you subscribe to people's Patreons. I was like, why? Like, you know how many people in traditional art industries have GoFundMes? Yeah. Because there's not a natural funding for it, right? Okay. I think the issue in anything is the balance. And if you're going poor because you're super chatting your favorite streamer, which has happened, or if you're going bankrupt because you're giving people OnlyFans money, yeah, I think that's an issue. I don't think it's the issue with the streamer or the OnlyFans. I think it's the issue with you. We need to fix that. I listened to a call where a guy called in and he had spent, did we watch it on stream? Where he had spent like his life savings basically, or he hadn't told his wife he spent like 50K on a streamer. And they said they get the high from the streamer acknowledging them and stuff. Look, that's not good. Nor is it good to buy a $90 video game you can't afford. But people are going to do it. And, you know, listen, I've been in my place in life where I was really in a bad place. And yeah, like I shouldn't have put all that money on credit cards. But at the end of the day, like, we're all going to die, bro. Chill. I'll pay it off. You know what I mean? Like, and I did pay it off. It's not great. Financially, it's not good. It's not the best way to be. The most perfect way to be is to never need to pay interest on a credit card. But the most human part of this is like, there will be stages in your life where that's just how it's going to be. Pay it off, move on. You know what I mean? But I think there's a balance here where we have to accept that not everybody's in the same headspace or in a healthy place. And the idea is like, once we're in a healthy place, yes, we won't be doing these things. We won't be putting an OnlyFans thing on a credit card that we don't pay off. Yes. You know? Guys says, hey guys, gonna be honest, I have a hard time with the idea that sex work is empowering for women. It feels objectifying for women. Could someone please help me with that? Am I wrong to feel that? I think every industry has the same potentiality to be objectifying. It's just that the stigma of sex work comes from misogyny. The reason women find it empowering is because they can take back this, like, the power from the stigma. But the truth is that every industry is incredibly objectifying. Right? I mean, look at cobalt mining. Look at military service. Like, we put it in a pretty package. We try to tell people it's not objectifying. But if you listen to the personal stories from people in these industries or people under these horrible tyrannical governments or businesses or evil capitalism, it feels pretty fucking objectifying. So I think sometimes sex work can be empowering and sometimes it isn't. And the question is, can you have a healthy enough relationship with your job so it feels empowering and not objectifying? Streamers, I've heard from streamers that they think it's incredibly objectifying and they hate it. They hate getting on stream. They hate being oogled at. They hate being commented at. They hate the fact that people tear them apart. They hate it, right? But they do it because it pays the bills. I know people who work at McDonald's and they're like, this is so objectifying. I feel so misused. I'm making no money. People are yelling at me at the car window. It's all about your relationship with why you make money and how you survive in the world, right? That's what it's about. Like, that's what it's about. And that's why I tell you, whatever the world is doing, make sure you're doing what you're doing within your joy. Make sure it makes sense for your joy. Make sure it makes sense to you. Make sure it's what you want to do. And if it's not something you want to do, make sure it's the least amount of harm of not want to do. Make sure the thing you're doing that you don't want to do is causing you the least amount of harm. Like, some people will say, you know, well, I don't want to have to feed myself. I don't want to have to clothe myself. I don't want to have to survive. I don't want to have a job. But you can have that. I think it's okay to want to be a person who doesn't work. A lot of people don't want to work. I don't think that's bad, but it's not going to come out of anywhere. You have to create a scenario in which now you don't have to work. So maybe that means working for so many years, saving up the money, investing it, retiring. Maybe that means marrying somebody that's willing to pay the bills so you don't have to work. Maybe that means a lot of things. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to work, but there is something wrong about feeling entitled to somebody else footing the bill because you just don't want to. Okay, a lot of us do what we don't want to do because we have to do things. Like, that's how society works. And society came about because it was really hard for us to do things alone. We learned as a species, as an animal species, us singular means death. Us together means life. And yes, even though us together means a lot of death, it means technically more life. Humans working together is better for us than when we don't work together. And that's just true. And as we move forward in the world, we'll learn to work together in better ways. But the truth is like, there will be a part of your job in which clients feel entitled to you, whether you're a fast food worker and they feel entitled to yelling at you, or you work at a marketplace and a Karen yells at you, or you're a sex worker and you get DMs from disgusting people, or you're at a bank, you know what I'm saying? Or you're a government person who gets attacked and a bomb thrown inside your house. You know what I mean? That just happened. A guy tried to burn down Shapiro's home. You know, that happens. Not Ben Shapiro, the politician Shapiro. And that happens, right? It's not good. It's not great. But it is a part of what we sign up for as humans existing amongst other humans. We sign up for the possibility somebody might feel entitled to harming us, and we do our best to disavow it. We do our best to mitigate the harm, and we do our best to hope for a world where people don't treat each other that way. Sex work or not sex work. Life itself can be very disempowering. Life itself can feel so exhausting that you just want to end it all. So let's still be real. It's not about sex work being empowering. It's about your life feeling good enough to live it. And finding a place in the world where you feel independent and good about waking up and good about going to bed and good about waking up and good about, it's about actually creating a life worth living, as they say.
definitely contribute to the adult industry more than is discussed about. And it's because it's an open topic, isn't it? It's something that you can easily talk about. You can easily talk about lots of things, but sort of getting into your niches and your kinks and your fetishes doesn't necessarily come out in the boys group too often. You know, say, oh, when I met a lovely granny the other day, had a wonderful time, thinking of marrying her. You know, it doesn't just normally come out, you know, whereas you can say, oh, I watched EastEnders the other night, that was great. But yeah, I find it's not a talked about thing, but at the end of the day, you just have to open your eyes. Look how many people are on OnlyFans, are stripping, are hooking. It's a big...
And just one more thought. It's okay for you, it doesn't feel empowering. Because that's good to know about yourself. There are lots of jobs I do not feel empowered doing. I don't want to do them. You know, we'll do anything to keep food on the table, but also I'm not willing to do just anything to keep food on the table. There are things I won't do, and that's okay. There are things I refuse to do to keep food on the table. I would rather starve, and that's okay. And at the same time, there are things I'm willing to do to put food on the table that other people would not do, and that's okay. It is okay to not feel empowered in the way that somebody else does. Lots of people feel very empowered being extra modest and wearing like a burqa. I doubt I'm ever going to feel empowered that way, but I will say sometimes even I feel empowered by modesty, and then I feel empowered by immodesty, and then I feel empowered by, sometimes it's just the day of the week. You know?
Business.
There's not many people like me, especially not in the UK. I don't think there's many like gay South Asian guys doing OnlyFans, so I get a good mix of it. And a lot of them are kind of like, they really like me, like, because I guess it's hard, like almost like a rare thing to see. So I have the whole thing, but definitely a lot of other South Asian men, because I feel like sometimes with porn and stuff like that, right, like sometimes for them it's about like kind of seeing themselves or seeing someone they relate to in that kind of way, do you mean, or you know, someone they're, I guess, attracted to in that kind of way. So I've seen a lot of South Asian fans, basically. That's what majority of it is. But then, even in America, the USA guys, not so much the UK guys, but the USA guys, they love me, they eat me up. Like, it's so different than the UK.
I mean, I get all ages. Basically, the lower age is 18. That's what I regard as the lowest I'll go to. And the oldest is probably 80. So they're any age, any nationality. They come from all over the world. When they're in London, they'll contact me and say, I'm coming over to London in August. Could I come and see you? Yeah, no problem. They've all got a fantasy, you know, and they just want that fulfilled, which is quite often why they come. It's not because they just want sex, it's because they've got a fantasy, and whoever they're with either isn't willing to do that fantasy with them, so they need to go somewhere to find somebody who will. Are we all supposed to, are us ladies all supposed to fantasise all day and every day? Like men do, or, you know, or they're all day and every day, you know, and fantasising about who they want to meet and which granny they want to find to fulfil it. And one of the weirdest ones was asking me to dog off. I mean, you know, you have to question, don't you, what's going on up there when that's what they want. No, it was give the dog first. I tell it.
Uh-oh.
Tell it, give the dog for £1,000, and then how much to the dog off? And I said, there is no amount of money that you could pay me to the dog off.
Exactly.
But if I had done it well, I could have progressed to a horse. You know how.
Like, see, there's a line. There are some people that are into bestiality, and I think there's something deeply fucked up with that. You know what I mean? She's talking about wanking off a dog. Like, how much to engage with a dog. Like, that's fucked up, bro. That's fucked up. You know what I mean? I just absolutely not. Like, there's just, like, no amount of money. You know what I mean? Like, no amount of money. Like, you couldn't give me $20 billion trillion. Like, you couldn't give me a gazillion bazillion. Girl, there are so many things I would. That's what I'm saying. It's not all about money. And y'all got to get the amount of people that don't get that. How desperate are you for some money, bro? I have had $0 in my account. Absolutely. You couldn't. I would rather kill myself than do some of the things people do for money. Like, I don't know what is wrong with you guys. And it's not like to be dramatic. Like, you must be in the most fucked up place in the world. You must be so high on drugs to do some of the things that these people do. But then there are just human animals that are out here doing this. I mean, people do things with kids. Do you know what I mean? So, of course, they're going to do things with dogs. Like, I don't know why we're thinking, like, humans are so gross. Like, that's why I say, like, if you're going to do sex work, make it dignified, make sure it's consensual, make sure it involves adults and humans, and fuck off everybody else. Like, everybody else, whatever the fuck you're doing, gross, okay? I'm exhausted. Gross. Gross.
where do they, you know, it just blows my mind. Just thinking what's going on in their mind, you know.
I love how off topic
I feel like we should report that person to the dog association.
you go. It's just gold.
Well, actually, kind of relate to that. I had a guy, I had a custom request, and he was like, oh, so how much are customs? I was telling the price. I was like, okay, so what's your request? He's like, I want this dildo. Well, yeah, it's a specific dildo. I was like, okay, like, no problem. Send me the link. And he's like, I'll pay for it, okay? So he sends me the link of the dildo, and it's a dog dildo. I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm pretty open. So I think that might be stepping over a line.
I mean, these.
Yeah, I think anything that mimics an animal that isn't a mythical one, no. Like anything that like, oh, it looks like a dog, like absolutely not. A dragon one, bad dragon, sure, what? It's a dragon. But anything that looks like a real animal, I think that's fucked up. I do.
These days, because of my price point, I mostly see rich white men. But when I first started, because, you know, the world is unfair, and therefore a lot of money goes to white men, older white men. But when I first started, I started at like, I'm about 1,000 an hour now. I started at about 75 for half an hour when I first started, and the range was much more vast. And again, it's like from legal age to on the way out. So it's
broad spectrum.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the adult industry in whole is for that reason, isn't it? It's to fulfill the desires, you know, whether you are single, whether you're in a relationship, in marriage. You might dream of a threesome, and the idea is you can now watch it and enjoy that moment, or you can pay for that moment and enjoy it. You know, I think the industry is dealing with that. That's what we kind of provide. We fulfill fantasies, and I think anyone kind of looking into our industry or participating, whether they're a viewer or a client or whatever, they have some itch that needs to be scratched, and that's kind of the service we provide in just different various formats.
And also the compartmentalization of it. Like sometimes I want that threesome, but I don't want all the trouble around.
100% is paying them to leave. You know, if you're married and you just want to have sex with someone and do a doggy position, your wife won't do it. It's not saying that that's right, but you know, that's the need, the itch that's scratched, I think.
And then the other people, of course, are people who are actually in like relationships and stuff, straight relationships as well. So yeah, I mean, they're just a video game that's different than actually having.
Yeah, I will say, I even run my OF in a very particular way. Like, look, I think I could make a lot of money doing sexting conversations with people, sending videos and pictures and stuff. I feel like I can make a killing, but I don't do it. One, because I'm a YouTuber and I talk about like real world stuff, and I think it's crossing a line. But two, I don't want to have direct engagement necessarily with people who maybe are in like committed relationships. Like, I don't want to fulfill that fantasy for you. But I will say that it's not my job to know if the OnlyFans people are married or not. Like, it's not my fucking job. I also don't think porn is cheating. And if it is cheating in your relationship, like, that's between you and your partner. That has nothing to do with me. You know, at the end of the day, like, we aren't responsible for how people spend their money. We can only do so much to encourage people to spend responsibly. But yeah, as long as we're not taking advantage of our customers and manipulating them, like, that's kind of the point, right? So I don't know. I think there's something to be said about the lines you can draw in terms of what you're willing to do. Some people feel it's their ethical kind of obligation to help fulfill sexual fantasies of married people who can't get it from their partners, and they might feel like they're kind of the hero in that sense. Sure, I would feel icky about it, but you know, that's a thing you're gonna have to figure out about your own morals and stuff like that. I don't know. I definitely am not like the greatest. I get the ick. I just get the ick, so I'm not built for it, you know? Jessica, welcome to Memberships. Happy to have you here.
Basically, like, having a whole affair and stuff, I think it's just the easy option. It's just so much more direct. And pay like, what, $9.99 and just get your box off, whatever, and keep it moving.
Most of the sex workers have high sex drive and have a lot of sex in their personal life.
What was the last one?
Nah, it's different for everybody.
And have a lot of sex in their personal life too.
Oh, okay.
I've been celibate for the whole last year. I haven't had sex for about a year and a bit.
My name's Danny.
Was that like a choice, or?
No, it wasn't a choice. I did try to have sex with people, but they didn't want me. So yeah, it wasn't actually my choice. But then I was kind of proud of myself, like, wow, you without sex.
Can I ask if you've also been like self-pleasuring?
Yeah, but just for work.
Oh, okay, just for work. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty active, to be fair. But like, you know, my OnlyFans, there's a lot of sex on there. Like, that's kind of what I do. So yeah, I would say high sex drive, personally.
I don't know whether I have or not. I keep getting asked, are you horny today? And I still, believe it or not, haven't worked out what it feels like I'm supposed to feel like to be horny. I mean,
I think people forget too, You can be asexual, you can be demisexual, you can have, you can be just, you can have so many different relationships with your own body and brain that the way you're engaging with it is just like so specific or different. Like a lot of people have to go to work when they don't feel like it. Sometimes if you're a sex worker, that involves having sex when you don't feel like it, but it doesn't feel like assault. It just feels like the same way you would feel having to go into McDonald's and you don't want to go to work. You know what I mean? It's just like sometimes I just don't want to do it, but you show up anyways and you get your paycheck and you go home. You're like, okay, because it's still just a job, Let's see. Chat says, I just found your channel today and this is the first channel membership I've paid for. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I hope it's worth it. I hope you check out the BoJack series or exclusive content. Enjoy it, girl. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Enjoy the emojis too. That's my favorite part. Thank you.
I don't go around all day thinking, oh yeah, I need a I mean, that's not my life. I mean, I enjoy sex.
Does it ever come to your mind? Like, oh, I would...
Also, what about medical problems or different stages of life or birth control or... Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of us go through stages of our life where like we're more horny at certain points, we're less horny at others, or like our sex drive change or our birth control impacts things. Like, I don't know, the idea that sex workers must have a high sex drive to do sex work, I think that's part of the fantasy. I think one part of the fantasy is like they're always on,
I would like to do that.
Only when I'm with the person.
Oh, okay.
So I get turned on by, or not, by the person I'm with. And yes, I've had some lovely clients.
Yeah.
And, I've got, oh yeah, open the door, oh gosh, come in, welcome. How long can you stay?
What's your budget?
Yeah, exactly. How much have you got? So that's on the spur of the moment when I've met somebody. But because I'm also a swinger, I have another outlet for getting sex. I'm not in a relationship. I haven't been in a relationship for donkey's years. But I enjoy the swinging, and I have got a group of friends who I have sex with.
Nice.
And
sex with friends, what a vibe. I love sex positive communities that are like, you want to have sex with your friends? Bro, shout out to my 20s. It was a vibe. It really was. I think I never felt more safe and loved than having a group of friends that I felt safe having sex with. It was such a vibe. Not all my friends, obviously. Okay, there were lots of my friends I didn't have sex with, but a small portion of my friend group, yeah, it was great. It was a vibe.
And we go to the clubs and I enjoy that side of it. So I've got that outlet as well, but I'm not sitting there all day thinking, I want to have sex with somebody, So, but when I'm either having a client or going to a club, then yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think initially I was very into sex. I had quite a high sex drive. Obviously for the drive to want to join the adult industry. But I think as I kind of got older and I still have a high sex drive, still have a lot of sex, but I definitely now have a difference between work sex and home sex. I feel when I first started in the industry, I couldn't really tell the difference. I was just having sex and having fun and enjoying all of it. And now I'm kind of very understanding of this is work sex and I have to perform and showcase a talent and make her look as best as I can. Whereas at home, I can kiss and cuddle and close up and wrap the legs around and do all things that I necessarily can't do at home. Yeah. So I definitely now appreciate the difference between the two, and I definitely enjoy home sex now more than I do work sex. Whereas when I was a bit younger, I was getting sex, I was happy, that was it. So I think now, just with the experience of more sexual experiences, I'm able to sort of realise what I really enjoy and what I can sort of focus more time on.
So true. Chet said, how does one even find that? Do you look for people who want to have sex, then luckily become friends with them? Or do you have friends who also want to have sex? Well, in my 20s, I was involved in a lot of activism. I was volunteering. I was involved in sex positive circles. I was involved in queer communities. I was involved in kink and BDSM communities. And though in a lot of my BDSM, I didn't have sex, I had sex with a lot of the people that I knew through BDSM. So like I never had sex at the dungeon, except, well, actually there was a private room section. So technically I have had sex at the dungeon, but I didn't go to the dungeon to have sex. I went to the dungeon to do BDSM non-sexually, and then I'd make friends with people, and then they'd come over to my house or their house, and we'd be like, hey, do you want to have sex? Like, are you attracted to me in that way? Or do you just want to keep it like platonic BDSM? Or do you want to do like sexual, like, cause sex, like the sex I would have with my friends didn't always involve BDSM. Right? So those things can be different. Ari, welcome to memberships. Appreciate you. So I was involved in communities. I was meeting people, and eventually it became like, hey, Are you interested? Like, would you be open to that? And then, you know, you'd get STI tested, you get condoms, everybody would get involved, or whatever was our level of safety. I'd meet their partners or meet their other friends, and we were open with it. Nobody was having secret sex. You know what I mean? Everyone was just like, oh, so-and-so seeing so-and-so. And then we'd be like, oh, are you a paramour? Are you poly? Are you swinging? Are you open? Are you? And then we all had the language. We had the language to communicate with one another, you know? I think that's kind of the important part, is that we had shared respect about sex positivity and also testing and safety, and it just made everything easier, right? Because I am curious how you were introduced into the BDSM scene. So I was 21. I, without giving away anyone's identity, was in a situation where I knew somebody whose parent was in the scene. And it came to the point where that parent had to come out to me because I temporarily stayed at their house in a way that it would be obvious walking into their home that there was a St. Andrew's cross in the family room. And they were like, hey, I got to let you know I'm a part of this community. And I need you to know that I'm going to have friends over and you might see some stuff. So you might want to be out of the house when we have events. And I said, oh, wait, like literally BDSM? And they were like, yes. And I was like, wait, I've been reading about this my whole life. I'm a virgin. I'm 21. I've been reading about BDSM my whole life. It's real? And they were like, yes. And I was like, it's like real. And they're like, yes. And I was like, can I go with you to a dungeon? And they were like, wait, what? And I was like, yes, please take me. They gave me these like 6 or 8 books to read on the scene, BDSM, gay leather. And I had to read all the books and prepare myself before going to the event. I bought a dress. I read all the books and I showed up to my first dungeon party as a virgin. I saw my very first man naked in person. I hadn't even seen a man naked. Okay? I was so virginal. Showed up to my first BDSM event and, well, it was all history from there. Yeah, all history from there. And then it just, that was the San Diego scene. Then I went to the Orange County scene. Then I went to the LA scene. Then I went to the Seattle scene. I visited the Texas scene. Yeah. Yeah, good times. Good times.
For me, I think things have changed. Like, now I don't really have sex unless it's like for work. Like, for me, of course, it's like this preparation, there's effort to really put into me like having sex with somebody. So I'm like, if I'm gonna have sex, I might as well video it. And if they're not cool with videoing and stuff, I'm just like, well, this is not really worth my time. Like, I'm already having sex with you. Like, at least let me get something else. Like, let me get some content out of this. Do you know what I mean? So. But it might change in the future.
I was going to say, I did that and lived that, and I felt that it became detrimental because you kind of like, especially with like OnlyFans and.
I think at a certain time, if you're having casual sex, you might as well make money off it for some people. But for me, no. I've only ever filmed myself having sex with intimate partners, and then that footage is like deleted. As far as I know, nobody has a copy of it. But I loved having just sex because I was in the moment with that person. I really like doing BDSM because I was doing it with that person and I was in the moment. I try really hard to keep certain things for work and certain things for my life. And it is a balancing act. It is a balancing act of, you know, who's going to get my morning orgasm today? My partner or the internet? And like, that's a balancing act. Because if you give every morning orgasm to the internet, your partner's never going to have it. And like, that's going to impact your marriage. That's going to impact your relationship. You know, you can't give them all to the internet, you know?
And things like that. It was like, I just missed the point that I couldn't have a like, I just want to have a on my own. And it was like, oh, no, hang on, get the ring light. Okay, right, lube, everyone ready?
Yeah, see? That's exactly it. It's like masturbating on your own when you're vibing. You're not thinking about it. You turn over, pull open the drawer, pull out the vibe. Very different than, okay, let me make sure I'm, you know, aesthetically pleasing. Let me make sure the set looks nice. Let me make sure I swept the floor. Let me make sure the lighting looks good. Let me like do a tester. You know what I mean? It's a lot.
Whereas actually, I just want to like get out of the shower, have the fans, you know, this is for me, not you. And it got to that thing that every time I was having sex, oh, well, right, here's the right, here comes the, and it kind of lost the fun. And as I say, I think through time, that's where I've learned the difference between work sex and home sex. And it is really important just to make time for you and your partner or yourself, whatever, but have sex for you as well, not just the camera. You can blur the line between performance and personal.
You burn out that way.
Yeah.
A little.
You burn out on every job like anyone else. People burn out on YouTube all the time. Nobody asks them if they find it empowering and if they should quit. You know what I mean? Like, You're going to burn out at your job, guys. You're going to burn out as a mom. You're going to burn out as a dad. You're going to burn out as a parent. Like, if you do something too much with no break, you're going to burn out. That's why it's kind of crazy to watch how many artists become drug addicts or alcoholics just to do art all the time. Like, is it really worth it? You know what I mean? Just let yourself burn out and start again. Like, it's fine. You know what? Like, I'd rather be tired putting in effort to something I love and take a break than abuse my body in order to do that thing every day when I could just take a break. Take a break, take a break.
A bit of separation every,
Enjoy
take a
it for now.
weekend. It doesn't have to be
I
on
get
the
that.
weekend, but you need to take some time out.
For me, like, to be honest, I prefer the solo stuff. Like, I'm somebody who enjoys showing off, like, more than just the collabs and stuff. Like, we like showing off. That's why sometimes I like.
He's young. He'll burn out eventually. If he's young and has the energy, do it. If before I got chronically sick and when I was young, if I had the same amount of focus I have now when I was young, oh my God, I would have killed. I would have killed. My channel would be so big. I would have been so much more successful because the amount of success I've gained over the last few years have been amazing. It's been great now that I have a focus, but I don't have the energy now. Now I'm too sick and I'm like, fuck. So like, it's kind of ironic, but let him be young. Let him put in the effort. Let him use all of his energy to do this. Let him burn out when he gets old. Cause like they're 35 and whatever old now. He's not. That's why I say like, let the young people put it in. When I see Speed go from 8-hour stream to 8-hour stream and do what he's doing, I don't know how they do it. Now look, I know a lot of streamers use a lot of energy drinks to get through their streams when they're older. I don't use an energy drink. At most, I got some tea. I put some mint in here earlier, girls, and took it out, and it's jasmine with mint. Delicious. But like, my drug is tea at most. That's what's keeping me caffeinated and awake. But I know a lot of these streamers, trust me, watch what they're drinking. They're not getting through those streams without, you know what I'm saying? So again, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but like, let this kid be young and use all that energy because he will burn out. Might as well make some money, save it. Hopefully he's saving his money. Hopefully he's investing it. Hopefully he has some, so when he does burn out, he doesn't lose out on the money. You know what I mean?
I like to watch my own stuff, like on camera watching me. So in some way, it makes it more fun for me that way. And then I feel like because there's a camera watching me.
I love this question. It says, if you don't mind me asking, were you ever a weed smoker? I love this question because it means you're new to my audience, girl. I'm in Croatia now and I follow the rules. So I have been weed free for 2 years next month. Okay? I follow the rules, girls. Weed is illegal in Croatia. So, oh my God, girl, I'm not even going to play. Yes, girl, take a hit for me. I'm not even going to play. Sometimes I do miss me a smoke. I miss me an edible. Sometimes I just want to hit a bong for old time's sake. Until it is safe, honestly, Croatia, please legalize weed because you'd make bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. Dispensaries everywhere, girl. It's a very Catholic country, so they don't like the gays or the weed. But let's go. Come on, Croatia. I'm rooting for you. You know what I mean? Yes, chat says taking a hit for Brittany right now, bros. Guys, everybody take a hit for me. Take a hit. You know what I mean? Take a hit. Thank you. Oh man, I miss weed. Shout out to weed. Love you. Love you.
I kind of perform better too. It's like my motivation behind going from it's like, oh, like everyone's watching me, I better look hard, I better do like how I want to do it, and like, yeah, that's how I guess that's the fun part for me.
I think that's great, and if that's how you enjoy it and experience it, awesome. And the day that flips and you feel pressure that you've got to look sexy and you've got to be hot and you've got to be what they want, that's when the dynamic changes.
OnlyFans has completely changed the sex industry.
I like
True.
it.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
think
think?
so.
Is that true or not?
Very true. Yeah, OnlyFans has completely changed the adult industry. From my side of it anyway, from production terms, it used to be production companies, very professional companies. You'd have to work really hard to get cast in or to even get someone to give you a shot, especially as male talent. If they're paying all this money out for crews, locations, girls, talents, testing, etc., the chance of risking it on a new guy was very, very dubious. But now you can literally go on Twitter, create a OnlyFans page, get some collabs in and create a show reel with 10 girls, then put that to a producer or something.
I think it's cool as well because like before I did OnlyFans, like I was gonna do porn, but then I found out about the site and I just thought it was so cool the way like you can make your own unique site, like own like niche, own videos the way you want to make them, kind of like amateur content, which I feel like lots of guys prefer to see like real content more those instead like set up cameras, like my actual life, like my actual sex life, like I'm recording. So it's like the inside almost to just a normal girl, like a normal student, but then she has this OnlyFans where it's like you can look in and see a different side. So I feel like people like that kind of personal aspect.
Definitely.
And you've got more control.
Yeah, exactly.
Haven't you, with that, I mean, you can do, obviously within the rules of the site, but basically you can do as much as you want.
You set your own limits.
I will say I did this really great, like Roman-esque cherub angels shoot, and OnlyFans flagged my shoot because there was an eyeball in the background that was a painting that looked like a person, and its automated system flagged it because they're very strict and try to keep people safe. They honestly, pretty safe site. They really flag all the bad words and they try really hard to keep people safe. But yeah, like they're pretty strict about like, you know, making sure everyone's consenting and making sure that certain words aren't being used. But yo, I really like the way that shoot came out.
And set your own limits, you know, there's just so much more that you can do
Some
as an
people go all
individual.
out, Some people don't even do explicit, and then some people have like threesomes, foursomes, orgies,
Mm.
but it's completely on your terms.
I love how I'm like fully independent about that. Like there's no one
Yeah.
that's in the middleman. There's like no one telling me what to do. Whatever. Like I'm just, I never feel like pressured to do. Well, like people have requests and stuff, but like it's all up to me at the end of the day. Like there's no one like
Right.
beating down. Like I've got no boss.
Exactly.
Like it's just it comes to me. Like
And even the people on my OnlyFans, like they're really supporting the content, which I appreciate so much. Like it doesn't feel like people who come to my OnlyFans. I feel like people who come to my OnlyFans treat me kind of like the way you guys treat me. It's not like somebody being like, you better do this, bitch. It's like they're not doing that. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, I'm happy to be here. Love the shoot this month. Love the content you created. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I love that you post so often. Whatever. Like they're supportive. And I think that vibe I built on purpose. I worked really hard to build that vibe because I don't want a clientele that's like, do what I want. It's like, okay, don't tell me what to do. You're going to trigger my PDA and then I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like the irony is like, I would have done it if you asked nicely, but now you didn't ask nicely and now you're not getting it. You know what I mean? So I don't take requests. Like I don't take demands. I consider requests, you know? But yeah, I think the feeling of like, I'm just creating it. If you like it, vibes. Like, I think that's I love OnlyFans. I really love the website.
do me like it's my decision. So that's what I love about it. I don't feel scared or like or uncomfortable in any situation with OnlyFans.
What advice would you give someone who's just starting in the industry?
My advice to anyone looking at embarking in the adult industry is give it consideration. It's not something that you rush into. It's not something that you say, I'm going to do it tomorrow and I need to be the best. I think you need to think about it wholeheartedly, the implications that become of that, not only for yourself, but your family, your friends, what you might want to do later on in life. It doesn't necessarily equate to how you feel in this moment. And I think just being very aware of what you're getting into, it does have a lasting impact on your life, not necessarily a negative one, but it is something that you will have to deal with forever. And I think just that's something that we're not necessarily made aware of. I think the glitz and the glamour of earning X amount a month on OnlyFans or living the life where you don't have to stack shelves or whatever the reason may be sounds very endearing. But as I say, once you actually get into all of our personal experiences that we've all had within working in this field, it's something that isn't clearly explained to you. And it's not a reason to avoid it, but it's something that you should definitely be aware of that's involved within it.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I'm like, do your research, because it's like the real world. Only 1% of us make that large amount of money. There is still all of those people doing sex work who are struggling. And people outside don't see that. They think like, oh, sex work, I'm going to earn loads of money. Actually, loads of people doing it struggling.
Same with YouTubers. I watch all these finance people talk about how all these YouTubers are faking being rich. So many content creators are struggling financially. But a lot of them are faking it till they make it, which is the problem, which is why I always try to tell you, I'm okay being a middle-class YouTuber, but I am a middle-class YouTuber. So same struggles everybody else has. You know, you try to, like, you make it make sense, but it's still really good work. In the same way that being a teacher is still really good work, but you're still on a teacher's salary. It doesn't make the job less fulfilling. It's okay to be a teacher. It's okay to be a middle class. It's okay to be that person. But understand that the 1% of teachers that end up millionaires, or the 1% of people who end up whatever, they're making plans. They're built different. They made different decisions. You know, the Jessica Negris and the I can't think of anyone's names right. Amaranth and all those people, like they work really, really hard to dish out content. I mean, you all know Amaranth's, story, probably. And Jessica Negri's been at it for a really long time. And how did she boost into fame? She went viral because she wore a Pikachu outfit to a Comic-Con. You just never know, right? But like even Jessica, I remember Jessica at the height of her career. Well, actually, she's probably the height now. She's probably making the most money now. But back in the day, like 10 years ago, I remember wondering how much she was making. And I was thinking, oh, she must be making like $500,000 a month or something. She was making like $20K a month, which is good money. Don't get me wrong. But that's like not as much as you think it is. You know what I mean? Like it is a lot of money. But you would think she was making more because it feels like she's so big. She must be making, but no, most people, even people who feel like really popular, it doesn't mean it's translating into dollars. It could just be translating into views. Like TikToks who get like 25 million views on a TikTok. It's not like making 25 million views on a YouTube video. And keep in mind, you can get $25 million on a YouTube video and not make a single penny if it isn't monetized properly. So then there's like a game people play where they feel a need to say like, I'm successful, I have money, look at the way I made it work for myself. But then they have to lie to, it's a whole game. It's a whole game that exists in every industry. It's not just sex work. I just hate that sex work takes the brunt of this conversation because every industry can feel like this way. If the middle class keeping up with the Joneses is a problem, is this really about sex work, or is it about human beings feeling a need to always feel like they're keeping up with what their neighbors can afford? Everyone universally is shamed for not keeping up with the latest trends, the latest cars, the latest everything. And it's our job to deconstruct that pressure, to show up, to look professional and presentable, but to deconstruct the need to always get the latest best thing, to always be flashy, to always make the most money. And look, a lot of people fake it till they make it. They flash dollar bills and pretend they're making money, which makes people think, oh my God, how are these girls making so much on OF? Then they all sign up to figure it out, and that's how they make the money. Like Andrew Tate. A lot of these men made their money by telling everybody they were making so much money. And then people would sign up for their course to figure out how they were making so much money. And then voila, they made so much money. You know what I mean?
Very fortunate. All of my friends, they are struggling. They do not sometimes they don't have enough money for their rent, but they're still doing sex work because they love it. So you have to think about it like rationally and like research it a lot.
Yeah, I feel like people start it a lot of the time for like the wrong reasons because they want quick cash.
Right.
They don't actually see the other sides of it. Like you do have to love it, you have to want to do it. And not just that, like obviously the money's great, but there's gonna be like a lot of hate. Like the hate we get is like crazy. You have to be able to just take it. I feel like people don't realise it's not just all, as you said, glitz and glam, like there's more to it.
I think one of the biggest things is, and it is a negative, is that you really need to think about the effect on your life with regard to jobs, etc. Because once you're out there on the internet, you're out there and you can't take it back. Think about what you want to do in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time. Do you want a family? All of those things you need to think about and then make your decision and make the decision that you believe is right for you.
Okay, cool video, bros. All right, thank you, Discord, for that recommendation. I really liked it. Yeah, I think this, like any other industry, let me give you a link to this video, impacts people the same as anything else. Stress is there, pressure is there, showing up is there. And for some people, it's never ending. Like, oh, you're a teacher? Are you teaching elementary? Well, when are you going to teach college? When are you going to be a professor? Oh, when are you going to go into research? When are you going to get a PhD? When are you going to do this? It's like, okay, bro, some people just want to teach fifth graders. Okay, some people just want to teach kindergarten. For some people, they're like, oh, so like you were successful in this way. Well, how are you going to be successful in this way or that way? It's like, for some people, it's like not good enough unless you're always going. And I think we need to learn that you get to decide what the point of this is for you. Is your goal to get manager? Is your job to go to college? Is your job to own a house? Like, that's up to you. And then you kind of have to do it no matter how much people are pressuring you around you. Like, you're saving up for a house, but people are like, oh my God, go on vacation. You have to live your life. I never get to see you. Okay, are you going to pay my mortgage and get me a house? No? Okay, well then we're not going on this $5,000 vacation. We'll go later. Because ultimately, like, for those of us who partied a lot in our 20s and spent our 20s, I did all those things in my 20s. I traveled, went to different countries, went to different states. I did road trips. I did a lot of stuff in my 20s that now I'm doing the other stuff in my 30s and 40s. Versus a lot of people maybe buckled down in their 20s, saved up, bought a house, and now that they're in their 30s and 40s, they want to spend that money. I love that. I'm in the opposite one. I really lived my 20s. Girl, my teens and 20s was crazy. Now I'm focused on, adulting in a very specific way, which is good because then in my 50s and 60s, who knows? You never know. Who knows what it will look like? It's either going to look like a Miyazaki film or it's going to look like, I don't know. Who knows what it looked like? I mean, I kind of do want it to be a Miyazaki film. Let's be for real, Okay, now, with that said, anything else on your minds? Anything else on your minds today before we go? Because that's all I have for you. Discord said for fatigue energy, have you researched creatine? I've switched to 5 milligrams a day and it's been a game changer. Apparently it's good for some chronically ill people. I've looked into it a little bit, but I haven't gone down that route yet, but I have heard good things. So yeah, maybe I'll check that out. It says teaching kids can be so fulfilling for sure. That's the thing. A lot of things can be so fulfilling. Heck yeah. Heck yeah, teaching kids can be fulfilling, bros. Showing up in your community can be fulfilling. We really take for granted. You know, I was watching, I didn't watch it all the way. I just watched like 2 seconds of it. But it was a video that was titled something like Gen Z is afraid of being mediocre. And I'm just here to remind you guys, fuck, mediocre is great. Mediocre and successful. It's fucking great. Okay? I might not have millions of viewers yet or followers yet. Maybe never. It's fucking great. Okay, my life is so good and I recommend it to all people to live a life that pays your bills. And you might not be mega rich, but you're vibing, dude. Every day is a vibe. Every day you're chilling. Every day it might be stressful and you know the way that life can be, but it's a vibe. If this is mediocre, then it's fucking a vibe. You know what I mean? I think Gen Z and young people especially, and I felt this pressure when I was a young person, like unless I was a millionaire, unless I had a mansion, unless I was, you know, I looked rich, like what was the point? So stupid. It's so stupid. It's so shallow. But it's the world we were raised in. That capitalistic American dream world, you know? It really makes you feel bad for just having a life you're good with. That's how they get you to buy shit you don't need. You know, buy shit you want to buy. Or remember, everything you buy ends up in a landfill. Okay, with that said, I will see you guys again tomorrow. I'm going to go record some BoJack so members can have a video. Thank you for being here. Please like the stream before you leave. Shout out to my members. Thank you for joining today. Shout out to my patrons. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Tomorrow, bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow you'll be gay. Okay, Samantha Dragonetti on our way out today. All right, girls, we did it. Ooh. Okay, bye. Bye.